Yes. Honorable members, good morning. Good morning. And can we take this opportunity to request everybody to take the... We are at 9 o'clock. We must start with today's. I want to take this opportunity to greet of you, starting our legal team, support staff of Parliament, and all South Africans who are with us here, or the members of the media who are Lieutenant General. Greetings. My name is Molapi, Soviet chairperson, of which comprise 11, 4 from the African National Congress, 2 from the Mkhwanazi, 2 from the Democrat, 1 from the EF, 1 from the IF, and 1 from the African National Congress. We have the Chief Honorable Jasu, and thank you. We have Honorable Sango, we have Honorable, and then from the MK, Honorable from Democratic, we have Honorable Kamel and Honorable Braden. Yes, no, it's okay. Yeah, the member of the from the Democratic Alliance is Honorable Braden, and from the EFF we have Honorable, and then from the IF Honorable, from the Patriotic Alliance we have Honorable Sol, and then we have alternate members. Alternate members are those members who participate in the committees in the full mess and Okamo. So the alternate member from the National Honorable, and then the alternate member from Honorable Kami, and the member who arrived in Sol have just, and then from the Democratic Alliance, the alternate member is Honorable Dian, who is here with us, and then and Honorable Sikele from the, and then from the EFF, Honorable and Mathes, pardon me, Honorable, and then we have 2 more alternates for the IF and Patriotic, and the alternate members, unlike the other parties that are names of alternate coming with the IF, the alternate are coming from other parties, that Honorable Vessels and Honorable James. Honorable, I wanted here the 2 more Honorable and Honorable. I think there is no more. If there is a, you can really record. Thank you so much. Then our legal team led by Senior Council Leader, and then a core, and thank you. Proud to have you, women of. Can you once again your hands? We have Andile Tejana from Parliament Legal, and then there are 2 gentlemen do notarial here. If you don't see them, there is a Bonani, Raman, and Pilot. And then our witness, the first witness that the committee has on, we take this to welcome Lieutenant General Provincial. The KwaZulu, welcome here. Honorable members and everyone from Parliament, staff from media, we want to welcome. It's time that start. I think I am done with now the senior advocate comment.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, on the parliamentary, everybody who has more than this point where we're proceeding. So thank you, and all the other that we have volunteered today. If I may make a statement on behalf of leaders, it is often said success, the natural reward for hard work, initiative, and such is the urgent. We need a collective sense to change mindset to steer the nation away from course. Just as we educated South Africa in the mire of conflict, we are now called upon at our disposal to build a just democracy has taken root in our country and we have, but all this will be little more than sands of illusion. Do not take to strengthen the moral fight. In this context, legitimate for us to examine root causes of crime and the poverty that stares us in the face. Of the previous order elevated lawless and the sanctions era which made under and dealing a glory national past, and the low pay and the focus security of the public service which turned upon their head the moral standard that these are supposed to. It is legitimate to argue it will take much time and effort to change all that, to heal the wound of moral decay, need patience and forbearance. Yet this should not result in our being incapacitated. It should not postpone the concrete steps against crime and corruption we need. Now, Honourable, you might think, wow, Arendt's pen is really entirely appropriate words, but I'm quoting was made our founding President Mandela at the Business Initiative Against Corruption just over 50 years in the 19th of August. Honourable Chair and Honourable members, since our passport in 19, we have failed to heal the wounds first, and our fight against corruption has floundered. Various attempts have been made to address the corruption, and most notably the inquiry Zondo established by the address. The Commission's detailed reports records the mechanism placement we used to control and manipulate financial contracting in SO. This strategy was bolstered the appointment of power in law enforcement and tax at the Nugent to ensure that purpose. This Section 195 requires administration impartial, lack of compliance, transparency in appointment of board enabled. Honourable members, today we again convene at junction in our as we consider the serious and placed before the strikes our heart. Of July this year, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla publicly revealed a potential operation crime that has alleged infiltrated law enforcement intelligence republic. These allegations demand a thorough. Indeed, General Mkhwanazi has alleged political interference in the attempt to establish, suggesting or alleging that there was deliberate undermining. In particular, he alleged potentially corrupt relations and minister alleging collusion with organized drug cartels, and that these cartels exist and law enforcement service, correctional service, the National Security Authority, the National quite rightly recognized these allegations of systemic corruption that has led to an erosion of public trust, and accordingly it established Ad Hoc Committee to investigate it fully, report back recommendations to strengthen our prevent further. Whilst the President has also taken these allegations serious, what is now known as this Ad Hoc Committee focus address specific areas defined by its terms of, namely, investigate potential interference, interrogating corrupt involving Minister Mchunu, Brown Mahotsi, Nhlanhla, examining procurement irregularity in SAPS, the 300 million rand SAPS health contract Lekganyane to Botswana, their role therein of Nhlanhla, assessing tutorial conduct on the investigating Directorate against Corruption IDEC, and whether its officials unlawfully appeared with investigation, probing the alleged organized crimes controlled by drug cartels, alleged infiltration conduct of the Parliament. Our inquiry must also consider whether Parliament's own oversight. Not only is this committee required to analyse and diagnose the problem, the causes, and whether indeed they are systemic, but also propose forward to strengthen interagency. This committee has a duty enshrined in ensure by it must exercise its power to scrutinize proceedings conform to legality, rationality, fairness, and just required by its terms. Ultimately, this task is not merely litigation. It must safeguard the integrity, restore public confidence and trust, uphold the rule of law with foundation. To that end, we will be guided by the evidence of, call them the SAPS service, particular Mkhwanazi, the Samola, the ministerial witness, former, current, other witness. We remain transparent, unwavering. We will call General Mkhwanazi and National Samola on the one end, we will also declare these all will be called during the first phase of this hearing. The committee will decide and identify what we call. In regard to the evidence given by the we draw attention to the powers it requires, called to answer to all questions lawful, produce any document they are required to standing that they answer any question, incriminate them or expose them to criminal. Witness are in that the evidence in the oath may not be used as outside Parliament in criminal concerning a charge of perjury or charge of chair. But I call
supplementing because he must first depose to statement. And if there's anything, the statement we have exposed, we have said to legal team time and again that we are not a junior committee of the. There is no statement of General Mkhwanazi before us. There is a statement of General Mkhwanazi to the Commission. And therefore, in the absence of his statement to the Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament, on which basis do you want him to take an oath? You will know, Chair, that a supplementary statement should be supplementing the original affidavit if you wish to say so. There is no such. And therefore, General Mkhwanazi is not proper before us. And this legal team has failed us because in the deliberation, we made it very clear. If colleagues are honest each other, we repeatedly said we cannot use the statement of the Commission. We are not a junior of the Commission. We have nothing to do with what the Commission is doing. We are a Parliament, a Committee of Parliament. Now, you want to use a material that is being used and sourced by a commission established by the executive in this separate arm of the state. It is wrong. It is unconstitutional. We have to do things properly. And the proper way is there must be an original statement to us as an ad hoc committee. And if they so wish to be a supplementary statement, let it be. I even said, it doesn't matter, Chair, in that meeting. I said, we can even say to General Mkhwanazi, the first pages of that commission statement, where the statement is directed to a commission, they can be amended to say the ad hoc committee of Parliament. And we have something that is directed to us, which will become our property, which will go into the archives of Parliament as General Mkhwanazi's statement to Parliament. In the history of this Parliament, when our children and grandchildren and children of children are going to be looking for General Mkhwanazi's statement to Parliament, they won't find it in the archives. So it's not proper before us. And the legal team is to be blamed. Not thanks.
Advocate Arendse, can you?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. In response to Malema, there is with respect to the statement before this committee. The statement that has now been sworn by General Mkhwanazi. We call it a supplementary statement because much of the factual background was covered extensively by the evidence leaders in the Nhlanhla Commission of Inquiry, and that is the 3 volumes you have before you, which contains General Mkhwanazi's statement and the annexes to that statement. At the Nhlanhla, General Mkhwanazi gave under oath, although his statement was not declared. Judge Nhlanhla administered the oath and he gave his under oath, and it would therefore be quite surprising that his evidence before us today would differ materially from the evidence that he has before the Nhlanhla. I acknowledge what Honourable Malema is saying about us not playing second fiddle. The fact of the matter is this: after Parliament decided to appoint this ad hoc committee and the appointment of ourselves was finalised, the Nhlanhla Commission had also been proclaimed by the President, and their evidence leaders got hold of Mkhwanazi first, and they started to take a statement from him, which they did, I think, General Mkhwanazi, over a period of some 2 weeks. You will recall, Honourable Chair, that I engaged with the evidence leaders for the Nhlanhla Committee. You engaged the chairperson, Justice Nhlanhla, in relation to when General Mkhwanazi become available to us. Given your terms of reference, you will recall this committee that this hearing can only commence by us calling General first. So for a period of some 3 weeks or more, we were constrained, prevented from engaging with General Mkhwanazi to take a statement from him because he was unavailable. He explained his unavailability to you, Honourable Chair of the Committee, and asked to be excused. As soon as he concluded his evidence before the Nhlanhla Committee, he indicated to us that he was now available to be consulted, and we've done. Our consultation covers the evidence and the statement that he gave. We've attempted in this supplementary statement to avoid a repetition. Much of what General Mkhwanazi has been heard by honourable members of this committee, by members of the public and the media. In fact, his statement was all these redacted statements are made available to the media. So that is the approach that we've adopted, Honourable Chair, to this inquiry. What honourable members, Honourable Chair, what you will find different to was done in the Nhlanhla is that there'll be a lot more engagement with General Mkhwanazi in relation to the issues that forms part of the terms of reference of this, and not necessarily before the Nhlanhla Commission. So General Mkhwanazi has been alerted to that, consulted about it, and different versions will be put to him as opposed to the case. So it is not only appropriate but necessary that we've incorporated the Nhlanhla statement as part of his statement before this, so that the record will indeed in years to come show that incorporated as part of General Mkhwanazi's statement to this committee is also the statement that he made.
No, before I take the hands, I think what the honourable member wants, whether the sole statement that General Mkhwanazi made at the Madanga, does it enjoy precedence? Because the understanding is that it is supposed to annex to the statement that he has made with yourself.
No, Honourable Chair. This statement enjoys precedence, but incorporates by reference Nhlanhla inquiry. And there are aspects in the statement where we will cross-reference what he said in the Nhlanhla.
I hear what you are saying. What he's trying to say is we have two institutions, Parliament, and then Parliament has entered. We have more or less a common list of witnesses. So when a witness comes here, a witness gives a statement to us in accordance with our, and then when we come to them, this witness which is before us has also your statement as the ad hoc committee. But for ease of understanding, there is this other statement which you would have cited elsewhere. For the interest of, you can also read. It's not quite, if you want to enrich your understanding, you can also read. That is what the honourable wants to. And his problem is that the word supplementary, when this statement is supposed to be an original statement before Parliament, because it is not a document of another arm of government. The document of this arm of government is which is Parliament. So what we then have to understand between yourself and General Mkhwanazi is the ownership of this document. That this is the document which I myself as General Mkhwanazi had deposited before you as Parliament. And for the purpose of this proceeding, I can confirm that yes, this is the statement I made with yourselves. If there is any other statement made elsewhere, you can also go through it. It's available. But for the purpose of these proceedings, I confirm that the document before you is the document that I cited with yourself. Can we have that understanding?
Well, there's no better person to that, Chair, than General Mkhwanazi. He can, hence I asked you to administer the oath. I will ask you whether this statement is made to this.
Yes, let me take the hands. Before I take you, Oscar, let me go back to Honourable Malema. He's the one who raised it. He may want to make follow-ups. And then the list will be in this order. It will be Honourable Malema, it will be Honourable Skosana, Honourable Nombalo, Honourable Nhlanhla, and then...
No, thanks. I think the evidence, and this is so unfair, General. If we had a way, we just the senior counsel say that. Can't say the first statement to us is supplementary statement. That coming from a senior counsel. The first statement you make is called supplementary statement. What law are you teaching people? It's unacceptable, and we can't help them, Chair, to cure it here in front of cameras. He has to go back and do the right thing. Because even if General Mkhwanazi says, this is my statement to Parliament, but what is written on this thing is supplementary statement. You can't change it. It's here before us. You are going to call General Mkhwanazi before this committee without an original statement. Where have you ever had a situation where you're told the first statement to be disposed is supplementary statement? If we're to ask the senior counsel, where's the original statement? You won't produce it. So if this is the original statement, let it be. Let them go and correct it. So it serves here properly. And then we all proceed. And what makes it painful is that it doesn't matter whether colleagues want to do whatever they want to do. We debated this matter many times in committee and emphasized that General Mkhwanazi will have to expose a statement to the committee, even if it means cut and paste, as long as there is an original statement to the committee. So that answer doesn't even, General Mkhwanazi doesn't get involved anywhere. He was called, he was asked questions, he was being helped by evidence leaders on how these things can be done. So to invite him now and say, is this an original statement or not? It's incorrect. He gave them what they asked him to give them. If they were not satisfied, they were supposed to come back to us. Now, the legal team does exactly what we want when we appointed the legal team. That there's no legal team which is going to take decisions on behalf of this committee. Now, he goes and takes a decision that a supplementary statement will be an original statement and brings it here and embarrass us in front of cameras like we are a group of people who don't know anything. He says, General Mkhwanazi took an oath at the Madanga Commission and therefore, because he took an oath at Madanga Commission, because we do what Madanga has done, why should he take an oath here? If that's how it works. He disposed the statement at Madanga. This statement at Madanga is the statement before us. We must accept that. We must also accept Madanga's oath. Going to take an oath twice on the same statement. On the same statement. There's no law that says that. I might not be a lawyer, but I'm a lawmaker.
Honourable Skosana.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm not sure, Chair, whether when we sat on our meetings, in fact, before even this Ad Hoc Committee was set, because we sit in this portfolio committee, and it's really embarrassing, I must say, that after we agreed that we are not a subcommittee of the Nhlanhla Commission, and now we are told that there's a supplementary, thank you, Chair, not because you are talking to, that we have to have a cut and paste is not acceptable as well. I mean, we were told that there was a consultation with the Provincial Commissioner General Mkhwanazi. We are going to be having a different view, here at the Ad Hoc Committee, not what we are told today by the senior. And I think that I will support my colleague on that. Perhaps it would be proper that General Mkhwanazi is excused. Us as committee members discuss this, because really we are letting the country again down. It's like we don't know what we are doing. We know where we come from in this country. We had a case where somebody was sentenced without trial before standing before the judge. Today we are finding ourselves in this again, where we are told that the statement was done, the oath was taken in the Nhlanhla Commission. It's unacceptable. And I think we should not go that route. My appeal to you, Chair, and to members is that perhaps can we take an adjournment on this matter. I think it will be proper. Otherwise, we'll be continuing doing the wrong thing. We are not a subcommittee of Nhlanhla. Whatever happened at Nhlanhla Commission happened at that commission, not here. I thank you, Chair.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, let me start by sharing my deepest discontent as well, that we are starting on a very bad note. From the word go, we're messing things up. And I think we shouldn't allow that if we want to enjoy the respect of South Africa. Chair, we deliberated on this, and I remember we did not only deliberate on this during our ad hoc committee meetings, even during a joint committee meeting between the Portfolio Committee on Justice and the Portfolio Committee on Police, which gave birth to this committee. We debated the role that should be played by Parliament. And we said the doctrine of separation of powers is very clear on the role that should be played in terms of the constitutional mandate by each state or by each organ of the state. But today, we find ourselves in a situation where we are being misled by the technical team or by the legal advisors of this ad hoc committee. Because if you say we must rely on the statement of the Nhlanhla Commission, you are simply subverting the constitutional responsibility of Parliament in this regard. And let's avoid this thing of mentioning Nhlanhla. Nhlanhla is a decision of the executive, not a decision of Parliament. We are doing our own, we are initiating our own process here. So we're not going to do any copy and paste kind of work and said, no, because this one has been done by Nhlanhla. Because if we are doing that, in future, we are going to be told that we can't investigate some of the issues here in the terms of reference because they were investigated by the Nhlanhla Commission. So, Chairperson, our view is very simple on this one. This must be amended. We are not going to accept this document as it is termed as a supplementary document. It must be an original statement by Lieutenant Nhlanhla General Mkhwanazi, because even the terms of reference, they are not similar. They are slightly different. So we can't be subjected to a process, some of us that do not even have a confidence in, because some of us don't have confidence in the Commission of Inquiry. We don't have confidence. Now you want to take the work of that commission and impose it here. We're not going to allow that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, you'll recall that the Senior Counsel did confirm to us in the last Ad Hoc Committee meeting that there will be an original statement for the work of the Ad Hoc Committee, and the Commission of Inquiry statement will be just an attachment. So when I saw that the statement itself is addressed to the chair of the Ad Hoc Committee, I thought that's what we have agreed about. So when I saw supplementary, I thought that the General is supplementing the statement of the 6th of July. So hence, I didn't notice what Honorable Malema has noticed. I think, Chair, it's just unfortunate, and we must plead with our evidence leaders to avoid making such mistakes so that we don't tamper with the credibility of the process itself. So in trying to mitigate the situation, maybe, Chair, because it's supposed to be sole statement instead of supplementary statement. So I would want to request that we adjourn for 15 minutes and that defect be cured. Then we take the General to be administered in terms of oath. Then we proceed, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mwango.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, colleagues, and Honorable General Mkhwanazi, you are not Honorable Member yet. Yes, I would like Honorable Chairperson to support the proposal that we adjourn this meeting for 15 minutes or so and correct these distortions that are in here, because the letter written to you, Honorable Chairperson, which is attached, which is part of volume 1, actually reads, please see under cover here of the witness statement of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. It doesn't talk about ASAP, but on the following page, the following page actually starts off by saying supplementary witness statement of General Mkhwanazi. So clearly there is a distortion here. So I think this needs to be corrected, but it cannot be corrected in front of the cameras, but we need to adjourn and then get these things so that we can resume our.
Let's do it like this, so that I have listened to what you have said, and you are very right. The two institutions are separate. Every document that comes here before Parliament must be an original document before the eyes of Parliament. But maybe what we must do is that before we adjourn to correct the typo, I'm going to ask respectfully General Mkhwanazi to confirm that the statement that has been made. I know that procedure.
On a point of order, Chair. On a point of order.
Yeah, can I finish what I'm saying? So
on a point of order, Chair.
When you call the point of order.
No, it's on a point of order. We are about to mess up. On a point of order.
Okay, point of order taken.
There is no General Mkhwanazi before this committee. He's not here until we've satisfied his appearance before us. It is procedurally wrong. Because once you talk to him, the first thing he must do, the first step he must do is to take an oath. Then only then he's before us. In the absence of the oath, let's release him. He's not part of this mess. He's a witness called to come before us after he was told he met all the requirements. You can't ask him anything. The only time we're going to interact with him, because if you ask him something, I'm also bound to ask him something, because me and you enjoy the same rights. And then the whole house is going to start asking him questions. He has not administered an oath of, he's not taken an oath. So please, Chair, we are all agreed. Let's release him. And I don't know if 15 minutes is realistic, because he's going to take up issues with the legal team as well when they arrive there. So I don't know. But to engage General Mkhwanazi is actually out of order because he's not before us. He has to first take, he's not a member of parliament. He has to first take an oath, and then from there we can engage him.
Yeah, no, that is a valid point, Honorable Member, and I 100% agree with you that he is not properly appearing before us. And before we ask him any question, he must have taken an oath with us. And I will stand by your advice, because I wanted to save, and I understand that procedurally I would have been wrong, so that we must know whether we are going to proceed or we are not going to proceed. Because for us to proceed is only if we can know whether what is contained in this document that is before us is what he's going to agree with, that yes, this is what I deposited before you, and then the corrections which are made must be made, and then we reconvene and proceed. But for now, I agree with Honorable Malema that we will not be able to ask him any question until he has taken a statement with us. So we are going to break now. We are going to break senior counsel and determine whether the mistakes that are on the document are correctable. Yes. Let me take senior counsel, Honorable Mkhwanazi.
If I may just remind the honourable members of the events leading up to this hearing. After the National Assembly appointed this committee, the Nhlanhla Commission had also been established. Central to this committee's terms of reference were the allegations made by General Mkhwanazi. When we at some point suggested or proposed that perhaps we should make a start with some other witness so that at least the hearing is going, the committee, I think near unanimously, said no, we must first call General Mkhwanazi. But General Mkhwanazi became unavailable and wrote to you in that regard, and Judge Nhlanhla had also spoken to you and the evidence leaders to me to say, unfortunately, General Mkhwanazi is engaged initially in statement taking and subsequently that he would be appearing before them for 4 or 5 days. And that made General Mkhwanazi unavailable. You, Chair, in an exchange of letters with Judge Nhlanhla, agreed that we will, by way of cooperation and mutual respect, work together and try and save some time and unnecessary costs by exchanging documents and witness statements, etc., without either of the two parties, because of the separation of powers, being bound by what the other had either drafted by way of the documents or any evidence, to the extent that it has been said or it's inferred that this committee and we are bound by the Nhlanhla statement or the evidence that General Mkhwanazi gave before that commission is not correct. It's not legally correct. We are not bound by it. But to the extent, and that is what General Mkhwanazi says at paragraph 8 in his sworn statement, which has now been sworn and which is an original statement. He says that I consulted with the committee's evidence leaders on 25 and 26 September. Having reviewed the terms of reference, I observed significant overlap in the background factual issues and evidence are provided.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Just hold it there, Senior Counsel. You see, the problem may not be the contents of the statement. The problem is that this document, when it appears before the committee, it must be an original document that the committee can have or can claim ownership. And that is why members have a problem with the use of the word supplementary on the document. It must be original statement made to the Ad Hoc Committee by General Mkhwanazi. So if you go to the contents, you are trying to justify a document that self-justifies itself. So we want you to correct that mistake of using the word supplementary on the document. Let it become an original document to the attention of the Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament.
Chair, may I request that we simply be directed or instructed to remove the word supplementary? I think that is the unfortunate word that has been used. This is, and General Mkhwanazi can confirm it under oath, this is very much an original statement that we've taken.
Senior Counsel, I hear what you are saying. The members are saying that he can only confirm those documents once oath has been administered. So if there is a weight that suggests that this document has been brought from elsewhere and is not our document, this meeting will not proceed. So if you were to write original on the document and then you bring it here, there is nobody who will have a problem with it. It is only the witness himself or herself who can have a problem to say, why do you say this paragraph is original? Because it's not what I deposed with yourselves. So the members are requesting that or are instructing that. The document cannot be supplementary. Parliament has original powers. And for sure, you also know that in this country, we practice what we call parliamentary executive system. The executive itself is a creature of parliament. Without parliament, you don't have the executive in the South African parliamentary system. So can we please adjourn without deliberating further on these matters and get to a point where the witness is called to own the statement or not, please?
Chair, may I just say lastly?
No, Senior Counsel, I'm not, if I'm not allowing members to speak, I can't allow you to speak any further. We adjourn and then we correct.
Check. I want to raise on a different point.
No, it's fine. We will raise that point when we are a committee.
Because I don't think what the Senior Counsel is doing to you is acceptable. We can't allow that.
What I'm saying,
being undermined like that.
What I'm saying, honorable members, is that
I really have no confidence in him from what he did now. We must change him.
I have
to argue with us and argue with you in front of cameras, and you allow that.
I have restrained the Senior Counsel, honorable member. So what we should do is to adjourn. The instructions are very clear. Let's correct the statement. We must look, our business is to allow the witness to make a presentation before us. And Senior Counsel, please help us to have, the witness is here. Please help us to have the witness making the presentations, which not me and you, but which South Africans want to hear. Please, let's do this for the people of this country. And I have said we have agenda for that correction to happen. Thank you so much.
Chair, the statement has not been signed. The statement before us, there's no signature.
Yeah, that is technical.
No,
it's technical.
No, but it can't be.
We have agenda.
Chair, for how long are we adjourning? Chairperson, he's not. For how long are we adjourning? For how long?
Ephraim, can you hear me?
Honorable members, honorable members, I'm going to request we do like this. We must get the report from the team because they are now back, and I'm going to release all people who are not members of the committee so that the committee makes a decision on the manner of proceedings. But the committee members heard what I said, that everyone who is not a member of the committee is being released now. We remain with the committee members to determine on how we proceed. Yeah. Thank you so much, honorable members. I think the reproduction of documents has been, honorable members, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Let me once again extend warm greetings to all of you. And as a way to resume the proceedings, explain to the members of the media who have been with us since this morning, and it might have been unkind for us to have requested you to give us time to do our housekeeping the way we did. We must explain to you, or we must inform you what we were doing when we requested you to go out, because it's important that you must know. We had to deal with housekeeping issues here. Before you were released, there were issues that were validly raised by members of parliament, members of this committee, regarding the statement that was presented before this committee and before yourselves. Its quality had to be enhanced to meet the standard that the committee has set. And at the time we requested you to recuse us was because we wanted to satisfy ourselves that whatever product that will be presented here before you for the purpose of resuming the proceedings is exactly that. So the Senior Counsel has consulted with the General, and they are satisfied that the document that they are presenting before the Ad Hoc Committee, which will also be circulated to yourself, is in accordance with our expectations. So I want to welcome you back again, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and thank you for your patience and your cooperation. I'm going to take this opportunity and give it to the Senior Counsel to present this statement that has been revamped.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, and honourable members of the committee, and to everyone present, and to the people and media. Apologies from our side, the evidence presenters, for the delay and the inconvenience caused, and we also thank the General for his patience and his cooperation. And thank you for the opportunity to meet with him again, to consider and to consult about some of the issues that were raised before the adjournment. We have amended the statement, the original statement, by deleting reference to initial and supplementary, deleting that, and also at the old paragraph 8, we've amended it to read as follows. I consulted with the committee's evidence leaders on 25 and 26 September 2025. This is my statement to the committee in response to the terms of reference, where I deal with certain factual matters canvassed in Annexure NSM 3, which is the statement made before the Nhlanhla Commission. I include those details as an annexure to this statement. My statement, as well as the annexures included in volumes 2 and 3 of my witness bundle, encompass all my evidence before committee. So, Chair, I respectfully submit that the concerns, the issues that have been raised have been fixed, cured, in consultation with General Mkhwanazi, and I would respectfully request that you swear him in so that we can commence to lead his evidence in accordance with his statement.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think what I should do, because you have now formally presented the statement, let me rotate between the members before we administer oath. The report that you present here is a report that the members have directed. So it will be fair that I give them an opportunity to impress on it. I'm starting with the rotation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Let me thank the evidence leader as well. The African National Congress is satisfied at the reading that the issues that we had identified as defects of the statement being a supplementary statement do seem to have been cured, as the evidence leader says. We trust that with thorough reading of the document, indeed, that will be confirmed. So we're happy to proceed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honourable Sangwe. Honourable Nombalo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, we are noting the amendments that have been made, and in our view, they have been made in accordance with the instructions of this committee. So we can't postpone this any further. South Africans want to hear the General testifying before this committee. So here is an opportunity, and we can't postpone. Let the work of the committee starts now.
Honourable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. There's a small matter which we wish to put it on record. And I want to thank the evidence leader, though it is regrettable that the senior counsel chose to open with a political preamble in the morning, presenting personal opinion as though they were established fact and citing matters of the Zondo Commission or the so-called State Capture Commission that remain contested and currently under judicial review. This committee, this Ad Hoc Committee, in the interest of procedural progress, exercise restraint and refrain from challenging these assertions. Even more concerning, Chair, is that the senior counsel apparently disregard for this constitutional separation of power between the executive and parliament, a principle essentially to the integrity of these proceedings. Such conduct is left, if is left unchecked, risk of undermining this core committee work and setting the unfortunate precedent for the future engagements. Accordingly, the committee must be careful and consider whether the time spent under these circumstances should be treated as billable and what measures, if any, are appropriate to ensure the adherence to Parliament protocol going forward. And I wish to thank as well you, Chair, of handling this matter with caution and with the sensitivity it deserves. And I wish to thank the Provincial Commissioner General Mkhwanazi for him to be still with us. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. The Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chair. We've gone over it and everything looks fine as was proposed. So it's fine from our side. We can proceed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. The Economic Freedom Fighters.
Let's proceed, Chair.
Thank you so much, Nhlanhla. The IFP.
Well, thank you, Honourable Chair. I think we can proceed. We're satisfied with the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Mnango. The Patriotic Alliance.
Satisfied, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable members. We have rounded all the members of the committee, and the strongest feeling is that we should proceed. The next item will be to administer oath on General Mkhwanazi. Before we do that, we must put it on record. Earlier this morning, I informed you that the full member of the Democratic Alliance to this Ad Hoc Committee, the full members are Honourable Cameron and Honourable Breitenbach. So Honourable Breitenbach, Honourable Malema and I are members of the Judicial Service Commission, and it is sitting today for the next 10 days. So the reason why Honourable Breitenbach is not here is because she's at the JSC together with the other parliamentary designates there. So the Speaker of Parliament has accordingly informed the Chief Justice about the number of the members of Parliament who will be available for the work of the JSC. And the two of us, Honourable Malema and myself, who are here, why we are unable to be at the JSC for the duration of the October interview. So I just felt I should put that on record so that honourable members and the media should know why Honourable Breitenbach is not here. And so the alternate member for the DA is Honourable Dian Kolabanat, who is standing in here for Honourable Breitenbach. Thank you so much. Let me move to administer oath on Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of the Police in the KwaZulu-Natal province of the Republic of South Africa. Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, you have been invited to appear before the Ad Hoc Committee to investigate the allegations that you have made, to provide information to the committee's oversight so that it can properly investigate the allegations that have been made, which include, amongst others, the alleged unlawful disbandment of the political killing task force or team, which is known as PKTT, alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services, SAPS, and alleged corrupt relationship between senior leadership within the SAPS and members of the public, as well as political interference in the work of the SAPS. In extending this invitation, the Ad Hoc Committee chairperson has indicated that you may provide such information to the committee, if you so wish, under oath in terms of the powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. You have indicated that you wish to take the oath so as to be afforded the protections as provided in the Powers and Privileges Act 2004. Please be informed that by law, you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all the questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or the document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. You are, however, protected in that evidence given under oath or affirmation before a House or a Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Please be aware that in terms of Section 17, subsection 2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislators Act, a person who willfully furnishes a House or a committee with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading, commits an offence and is liable to a fine or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. You are required to take an oath or affirm that the evidence you are about to give is truthful. You may choose to take the oath or the affirmation, and then I will check with you, General Mkhwanazi, if you choose to take oath or affirmation.
I'll take an oath, sir.
Then if you take an oath, you will then have to repeat after what I say, respectfully. So I am going to read the oath. So where I say I, you will then have to mention your names, because the I in this case, because it's me reading, will be referring to Malapi Soviet Lekganyane. So in your case, you will say I, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. I swear that the evidence I shall give, may you please repeat after me, General Mkhwanazi, or do you want me to read the whole?
I can say all of it, Chair, if you want me.
Okay, no, it's fine. So
I, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, swear that evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing else but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, here we are. I want to thank you, General, for this exercise. Are we ready, Senior Counsel? Because I'm now handing over to you to lead us.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable members, we're ready to proceed.
Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, General.
Good afternoon, sir.
And thank you again for your willingness to cooperate with us and to spend some time with us drafting your statement. Are you satisfied that the statement, together with the annexes referred to in your statement, is your statement that you make under oath, and that you are personally comfortable with it to swear to this is the truth?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Now, we know why we are here. It arises from the media briefing you held on the 6th of July, and that is referenced at paragraph 3 of your statement. And at paragraph 4, there's a reference to the fact that this ad hoc committee established by Parliament had asked you to present to it in accordance with its terms of reference, which you see, and that was on the 22nd of August this year. And the terms of reference, the relevant or the key areas are referenced at paragraph 6 and at paragraphs 4.1.1 to 4.1.18, which is on page 6. Is there anything in those terms of reference that you want to highlight? We are going to deal with some aspects of it relating to your evidence, but you've seen that and you're familiar with those terms of reference. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Now, you have consulted with us. We spent a considerable time putting together this statement, and the annexes are at volumes 2 and 3, which I see it's either on your soft copy of your computer or hard copy on the left, and we'll make occasional reference to some of those annexes. However, could you, just for the record, it's at paragraphs 9.1 to 9.6, just describe to us your position currently, as well as the previous years you've spent in the South African Police Service as a police officer?
Honourable Chair and honourable members, although I did not want to bore the members with the history since I joined the service, which was in 1993, but I felt it's important maybe to reflect the position I held as a senior manager in the organization in the top executive of the SAPS, which started in 2011, that I performed the task as the acting national commissioner at the rank of Lieutenant General in 2011, 2012, and subsequent to that, I had the privilege of not working for a year, but still employed in the police. And a year later, I was then assigned a division facility management as a divisional commissioner there. And after that, I was then appointed as a divisional commissioner of human resource development. And after human resource development, I became the acting provincial commissioner KwaZulu-Natal. And subsequent to that, I moved to the division operational response. And then I went back to KwaZulu-Natal as a provincial commissioner on a permanent basis, which is a position that I'm still occupying until now.
So your movement up the ranks has been quite extraordinary over the years. You rank as one of our most senior police officers, and you are familiar with all the workings within, especially senior police management. Would it be fair to make that statement?
That is correct. I'm a member of the Board of Commissioners in the South African Police Service, which is the top structure of the SAPS.
You also acted as the National Commissioner in 2011 to 2012.
That is correct.
That's correct. The main reason why we are here, it relates to the issue surrounding the political killings task team. So perhaps we could just start by looking at the establishment of that, let's call it the PKTT, when, for what purpose, and how it operates, and perhaps start in 2018. We know that in this chamber, not exactly the same chamber, but in Parliament, President Ramaphosa had made an announcement of the formation of an interministerial committee in this House, and that had been set up to look into the political killings of KZN. Just talk to us about that development and what happened subsequently.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable members, the President of the Republic, in his capacity as the leader of the African National Congress, he visited the area of KwaZulu-Natal called Pietermaritzburg, where a member of his political party, Mr. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, was killed. And after the visit, the President then addressed the gathering that was outside the House. And this visit was on the 18th of May, 2018. In his address to the public, the President made announcements that he shall establish, or he has given a task to the group of ministers, and then he's given them assignment that they must come with a solution, strategies to intervene with regard to mitigating these incidents of the murders of politicians in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So this group of ministers were given timeline of a week to come up with a plan of how this, or a strategy of how this matter was going to be addressed. Honourable Chair members, I'm not quoting the President directly on his own words, but I invite the members to go on YouTube if you so wish, Google that visit. You'll hear in your own words what the President said. And this was a Friday the 18th. On a Monday, the ministers that were given an assignment by the President, they convened in the Provincial Office of KwaZulu-Natal at Bramfisher Street in Durban. And that is where the discussion with regard to the plan of how should we resolve these issues, mitigate these incidents of attacks on politicians or political leaders within the province of KwaZulu-Natal was discussed. And then subsequent to that, the President of the Republic appeared before the Parliament, I think that was on the 24th of May, where the President made a pronouncement with regard to the establishment of the interministerial committee that is tasked with the responsibility to develop measures that are going to mitigate these incidents of violence that is directed at politicians in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So basically, that is a background of how the whole political killings task team came about, that it was a direction that was given by the head of state to the group of ministers, which are referred to as the interministerial committee. And subsequent to that, the work needed to be done, and then the officials ourselves then had to get busy with it.
Thank you. Who was the Minister of Police at the time?
At the time, General Nhlanhla was the Minister of Police.
So subsequent to the establishment of that interministerial committee, what role has that committee, or did that committee play subsequent to that, from 2018 through to, say, the end of 2023? I understand the last interministerial committee was held, I think, in September or November of 2023. On
a frequent basis, Honourable Chair members, the IMC will, at the beginning, when they wanted to get the status of what the police are doing in terms of dealing with this crime, a presentation was made to them by the management of the South African Police Service in KwaZulu-Natal at the time. That was done by the Deputy Provincial Commissioner at the time, because the Provincial Commissioner who was there was on suspension. And the ministers were not quite pleased with the level of performance of the SAPS at the time, when looking at the number of cases that were brought to court, number of arrests that were effected. And as a result, a directive was that the police management must come up with a proper plan that is going to have timelines with a coordinated effort to investigate these incidents. And subsequent to that, the plan was drawn up, which was then approved by the National Commissioner, and the presentation thereafter was given to this interministerial committee, and they endorsed that. They're quite happy with it. And thereafter, they will frequently visit to come and evaluate the work that the team is doing and listen to the challenges that you're experiencing and trying and assist us to intervene in those challenges. And that's how it's been working. And every time when we meet and we give them a status of the work we're doing, they will go and then brief South Africans through the media. They will have a press conference where they give a status update with regard to the interventions they're making. So I like to believe then that perhaps they will have elevated the same report back to the President as a person who would assign them. So that's how it's been working up until towards the end of 2023, whereafter this interministerial committee has not said, I like to believe, It was towards the end of the year when they last met, and then the following year, 2024, the country was gearing itself to go to the national elections. And after the national elections, the new ministers that took roles of that were appointed into positions of those that were responsible for this committee had never convened. So we do not know what is the reason.
So if we can just pause at the end of 2023. So up until that point, from its formation in 2018, the minister was Minister Nhlanhla, former Minister Nhlanhla.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Who made the presentation and who devised the plan which was then presented to the interministerial committee?
The plan will have been worked out by the team that was given the responsibility in KZN, which will include the officials that were there at the time, and myself as a person who was the acting provincial commissioner, and some of the deputy national commissioners that were there at the time that had to also contribute in terms of development of that plan, a plan which eventually then had to be given to the National Commission for approval. So the National Commissioner was the one who approved the plan that was developed by a different group of senior police officers that were involved.
In terms of this plan, was the PKTT then accountable to the interministerial committee?
The task team was a team that was employed to work and execute police work that had to be approved by the National Commission. So it was accountable to the National Commission, not to the IMC. But the work of the team, the successes and that the team was producing, that the National Commission then had to account to the IMC on the work that was done. I must just indicate, Honourable Chair and members, that at the beginning, it was only the SAPS that was mainly focused on it. But as the time went on, we realized that we're having challenges as we're presenting to the IMC some challenges, which then made the IMCs to give specific instructions to the head of other departments that are within the security cluster to also organize themselves similar to how the SAPS are organizing themselves and dedicate personnel that are going to be focused on these cases. And as a result, a revised operational working was then developed, which then was approved and adopted, and which then was implemented going forward. So the coordination, the presentation that needed to be done to the IMC will then be presented by the group of the head of departments, the National Commission of the South African Police Service, the Chief of the Army, the head of State Security, the head of the Prosecution Authority in the country, the head of Correctional Services, were amongst the heads of departments that were part of this work that was done, which they will present to the IMC in order to account.
Is that where this word multidisciplinary task team comes from?
That's correct.
It was informed by a number of other actors and state actors, for example, prosecution-led, guiding and directing the work of the PKTT to give it a more dedicated focus. Is that where that comes from?
That's correct.
Yeah. So just to perhaps preempt a discussion we might have later, or some of the honourable members may ask of you, when we deal with this directive of 31 December 2024, it will be argued that not by me, I'm not here to present any arguments, but by some implicated, that this was a political initiative. It was a task team established and appointed to perform a particular task from time to time, and the decision to disband or to disestablish it was a political decision, and it was entirely lawful for such a decision to be taken. What would be your response to such a proposition or argument?
Yeah, I'll say they are wrong, Chair. I'll say they are wrong because a minister of police is not a member of political party. The Minister of Police is executive member that is appointed in terms of the law of the Republic. He's a cabinet member responsible for policing. I don't think the legislature cared as to which political party the member belongs to. So to put a statement and say it was a political decision, what if the minister is not a politician? So I don't think that argument will stand.
Okay. So we'll perhaps explore that a bit later when we come to the minister's directive, Minister Mchunu's directive of 31 December. But just to establish the PKTT as an entity. So this was, is it right? This was not a permanent structure. It was a task team that was established over initially a 6 months period, later on over a year, but it was resourced and financed from the budget of the police, in respect of which all of you as senior officers informed that budget, and it was approved by the National Commissioner. Would that be a correct or a fair summary? Would you want to elaborate?
Honourable Chair and members, the team, as it was working, the SAPS dedicated specific funds from the national level to be utilized by this team. And it was not the budget that was allocated to the cost center of KwaZulu-Natal as a province. Therefore, it was an extra allocation. However, the other departments be the NPA, who had dedicated prosecutors working with the team, correctional services, and many SSA and many other departments that were part of the operation. I believe they were using their own line function operational budget to execute the task. But I'm speaking under correction. I'm not sure if they had any specific budget allocation for the project. But in the SAPS, which I can speak on, there was a dedicated budget allocation. It might not have been according to what we had asked for, because the CFO needed to make money available. Sometimes we'll ask for 10 million and she'll give you 5. But there was a specific budget for the SAPS. I'm indicating these, honorable chair members, that so that it's understood that SAPS was using the budget, but not only SAPS was working in this team. There's NPA, there's correctional services, and there's other entities that were using budget. So I can't speak on their budget. So I'm only talking about the SAPS budget.
So would it be fair to say that this, in summary, about the PKTT, it was a political initiative that was then operationalized by or through the Office of the National Commissioner, fully funded, fully resourced by the police, and subsequently also informed by other state actors, like, for example, the NPA and others, to form this multidisciplinary team.
Honorable Chair members, I'll beg to differ again. It was not a political decision that was implemented by the National Commissioner, but it was an executive authority decision that was executed by the head of departments within the security cluster, which include the National Commissioner.
So what role, or what was your role within the PKTT? Did you lead the team? Were you the project leader? Or was Brigadier Khumalo was appointed the project leader? Who appointed him as project leader?
Honorable Chair and members, before the meeting of the 21st of May took place, the National Commissioner, as I said earlier when I started, that in KwaZulu-Natal, the Provincial Commissioner was on suspension. The National Commissioner had assigned me to go and act as a Provincial Commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal to oversee the province and manage the province. So in my taking up that position, I had requested the National Commissioner to allow me to take Brigadier Khumalo with me to go down to KZN and assist me with the managing of the province, which the National Commissioner approved. So on our arrival in KZN, we were there for managing the province. So when this tasking came, it was a task that was given to the province to make sure that the attacks to the political leaders in our province is somehow minimized, and we're able to deal with perpetrators and put a stop to the incidents that were happening. So by default, the Provincial Commissioner, which was myself, was part of this. That means I had to be responsible for what was happening at the time. As I said, when the plan was developed, it did not only include the Provincial Commissioner alone. So the plan was put together. As a person in charge of the province, initially, I took responsibility for it. And as I moved out of the province, it needed to be overseen throughout the process, including myself while I was out of the province, but overseen by many senior officers that were given a responsibility to oversee the working of the team. So I was a Provincial Commissioner in the province. The team was given an assignment, a responsibility to a Major General who was at the national level, who was at Detective Services. He was the one who was appointed as a project leader, and then he was assisted by 2 brigadiers. So he went on retirement, and another brigadier was then given that responsibility to take over from him. But as I say, the accounting to the Provincial Commission was myself, and then the accounting was going all the way up to the National Commission level.
So the budget for the task team, was that allocated at national level, but the task team itself was in operation at a provincial level?
That is correct. The task team was working at the provincial level, while the budget was a national budget.
And just describe the command structure and the composition of the team. Was it the officers in the team, were they only based in KZN, or were they drawn from other parts of the country, other divisions, other units?
Honorable Chair and members, the team was made out of different expertise from the different parts of our organization, which were drawn from different parts of our country, as the organization is spread across, where we need to get the expertise to come and assist. Those expertise were then invited from different stations, different units in the rest of the Republic to come and assist the team. Just
to reference him, because he will also come and give evidence before the committee, did General Masemola he was obviously aware of the existence of the team, and when he became the National Commissioner, he would have been instrumental in approving the budget for the team. Is that right?
The National Commissioner, when they started, the current National Commissioner was not the head of the organization, so he did not approve the budget. But he was one of the people that were signatories requesting the budgetary approval. But upon assuming the office of the National Commissioner in 2022, he then became responsible person to allocate funds to the project.
This team, was its membership rotated from time to time? And if so, what was the reason for rotating the membership of the team?
Yes, Honorable Chair, members, when the team started, perhaps maybe what I must give as a background, which I didn't talk about, is that although the existence of this team started after the President made a visit in Pietermaritzburg in May 2018, but the incidence of this violence nature in KZN, it's something that was already in existence for a couple of years prior. And it was a concern already, not only within the provincial leadership or executive in the province, but it was a concern at the national level as well, because it was something that a crime that was directed towards the leaders of our society, which was a concern. And at that time, the Minister of Police sought to direct that the police must do something extraordinary to handle this. At that time, the Minister of Police was Minister Fikile Mbalula, and they had directed that some intervention must be done to try and correct or arrest the situation that seems to be getting out of control. Gerald Masimula, who's now the National Commissioner, was still a deputy at the time. So there was a tasking given to the province of KwaZulu-Natal to say, KZN have special focus on cases that involve politicians, so that you can try and make sure that you improve in terms of arrest and taking cases to court. When this incident continued up until May 2018, when the Interministerial Committee came to KZN, then the committee was given a presentation on what the police were doing in terms of those cases. So the status quo that was there at the province. So they were given those presentations, and upon assessing that, it became clear that the performance of the SAPS at the time was not very encouraging. It was very poor. And it was for that reason then that the IMC emphasized the point that something else must be done to better coordinate and see the speed of finalization of cases. And when the team started working, Honorable Chair members, as we reconfigured it into what we refer to as PKTT now, because it was a combination of different disciplines. It was not only detectives alone. Before, it was only detectives alone that were working in dealing with those cases. Now, when this team was formed, it had forensic experts in it, it had analysts in it, it had intelligence members that were working in the team, dedicated by different departments within the SAPS or divisions within the SAPS. So some of the things that were then observed, Honorable Chair members, was that there's a lot of corruption within the South African Police Service, detective members that are carrying dockets. And the team then had to deal with trying to eliminate the rogue members within these cases, because some of members are carrying dockets, and not because of the poor investigation from their side, but it's a deliberate omission of some of the information that must be in the case docket so that the case doesn't go to court. And that led into an arrest of quite a number of police officers that were working in the team. Quite a number of them to date are still in prison. As we engage, giving this evidence with this Ad Hoc Committee, you'll be privy that some of the members are in cahoot, those members arrested that are in prison. Some of them are now in cahoot with some of the honorable members in this parliament, feeding them with information. So when we discover that these members are this corrupt and they get arrested, and then we realize that we cannot then risk to have more members getting corrupted or be recruited and be paid money. So therefore, it is important, we must try by all means to rotate them. So the rotation of members was then influenced by that. Although, unfortunately, it was not all the members that needed to be rotated. We'll rotate some of them, and some of them will stay behind. And a typical example, it's not easy to rotate a detective when he's carrying a docket because he's an investigating officer. But what we make sure is that the detective doesn't work alone. He works with a group of other members around him or her, so that we prevent any involvement in corruption, as it were. So, the rotation then took place, and the reason for that rotation was exactly that, what I've explained.
The rotation, did it take place every 6 months or every year? Over what period?
Honorable Chair members, again, as part of, we put up a plan together and we want to roll it out and have a perfect investigation. But as we realize that we have these bad apples within the SAPS that we try to deal with, we also realize that we have a bad apple within the prosecution that we have to deal with. And we also have bad apples within probably in courts that we have to deal with. We see a case that a team, initially, it was said to be going to be working for 6 months. And when the team makes arrest and the cases are brought before court, and the court will schedule a case on the month number 7, when the team supposed to have stopped. And we then have to request the extension of the team so that the members stay on to continue these cases in court. And when the matter goes to court, when the extension is granted, it's granted for another 6 months. And when this case arrives in court on the month number 7, it gets postponed again to the month number 15, just outside the deployment date. So we then realize that these postponement with timelines, perhaps that's the reason why they are postponing these cases to days after where the members are supposed to withdraw. We then requested to the National Commission, let's change our strategy. Let's not put timelines. Let's just keep the team indefinitely for the whole financial year. And from there, we started seeing cases being enrolled in court because then there was no end date for the team. And then the investigation started happening and cases would then being placed on the court roll.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question about the rotation, because it clearly could or did affect the prosecution of a particular case. If a member was rotated and the prosecution was still pending, it affected the issue of until when do you postpone a matter, and when the matter comes back to court, is the officer concerned now still part of the unit, or has the person been replaced, rotated? I asked the question for that reason. Yeah. So let's just talk about your relationship with Brigadier Khumalo. You know each other well? You would describe yourself as good colleagues?
Honorable Chair members, there are too many Brigadier Kumalos in the South African Police Service. Can maybe I say be specific?
The project leader of the team, PKTT.
Yeah, he's a colleague. The head of crime intelligence you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, he's a colleague. I know him very well.
So, would you still describe him as he's the project leader of the PKTT?
That's correct.
Notwithstanding the fact that he's also had been appointed as the head of crime intelligence.
That is correct.
Given the very important role that crime intelligence plays throughout the service and for the country, was it feasible for him to continue as the leader of the PKTT, given this very wide and important role he has to play as the head of crime intelligence?
Yeah, honorable chair members, we are giving assignment in the South African Police Service because it's something we do all the time in our careers, that we are having a responsibility in terms of your line function. That's what you're employed for, and that's where you are you're drawing a salary from. But then you give in other ad hoc projects on the side. Typical example, if I may use a current project that everyone should know about, that the head of the investigation in the province of Western Cape, which is a province that is too much in the media of late with regard to incidents of violence that are happening. But the head of investigation in this province has been deployed to France to go and assist, to lead a team in France to go and assist with regard to the investigation of the death of the ambassador. It's a temporality. He's going to come back and continue with this province. So it's a common trend across the SAPS. We do that.
I was just asking and wondering that Brigadier Khumalo, appointed head of intelligence, project leader of the team, and you're the provincial commissioner of KZN. Both of you played key important roles in leading that team. Your capacity to continue to lead the team and to play the role that you had since 2018, was it still possible to do that given your other responsibilities?
That is correct, Honourable Chair. I was in KZN in 2018 and 2019. July, I went back to Pretoria. As I said earlier, I was a Divisional Commissioner of Operational Response Services, but I still had a responsibility also over the political trust team during that period while I was in Pretoria.
So the record, and we're going to come to that in a moment, of the PKTT in terms of combating, fighting political killings and prosecutions, would that have been shared with this interministerial committee when it met, I believe, twice a year? Is that right? Twice a year, the interministerial committee?
Yeah, well, the frequency of the meeting, I don't have it in front of me, but I know on annual basis the committee will meet, the interministerial committee will meet and take reports.
Yeah. And so that report would be given by the senior management of SAPS?
That's correct.
Which includes the national commissioner and his deputies and other heads of department.
That's correct.
Were you involved in such a briefing?
Yes, I was. In many of them, I was part of those briefings.
In your capacity as the provincial commissioner, or in your capacity as the leader of the PKTT, and the role that you played there, you clearly played an instrumental role in its establishment and the subsequent work that it did. But we know also from your employment record that you were at head office and then assigned sometimes to KZN and also to the Western Cape, and so there was quite a bit of movement, but you continue to play this role within the PKTT.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I will be providing the presentation to the Interministerial Committee as the person responsible for the province in KwaZulu-Natal and responsible for the project at the time. But when I moved to Pretoria, I was not as much involved in terms of briefings. So the briefing were handled by General Khumalo in the main. Because I will also be traveling from Pretoria, coming down to KZN, and he will give a presentation as a person that was always in the province.
Yeah. So certainly at a political level, when you reported to the Interministerial Committee, they would have been aware of the work that the PKTT was doing. You would report to them whether people were being arrested, whether they were being prosecuted, and whether these prosecutions were successful or not successful. In other words, their record would have been shared with this committee, at least on an annual basis.
Honourable Chair members, will always give presentation to the Interministerial Committee as on a strategic level, without going deeper into the details of the investigation in terms of saying who is a suspect and who are the people intending to questions and so forth. To be safe to just say to them, in this case, we've identified the suspects involved and we've effected an arrest on them. Is a matter in court or not in court? What is the obstacle and those things? So it was more on a strategic level as an oversight body, not bothering them with regard to the details, because that the security of the investigation needed to be protected all the time. So we did not divulge that information when we were giving them presentation.
So you deal at paragraphs 12 to 13, what you under the subheading successes of the PKTT. Would you describe the PKTT as a success?
I will say the work that the team did was a good work, and the results that the team had achieved over time were good results that we could be proud of.
And would you say that its continued existence is justified?
Yes, that is correct. It still exists to date. And we're quite happy with the fact that they still exist, considering the fact that we are approaching elections. We wouldn't want that which used to happen in the past to start again.
Now, you made a presentation, a presentation was made, I think, by Brigadier Khumalo on the 5th of March before the Police Portfolio Committee. You attended, or rather your name was on the list of attendees at that meeting, but were you privy to that presentation that Lieutenant General Khumalo did at that meeting? And you would have also seen it at Annexure NSM 4 to your statement.
Honorable Chair members, it is true that the SAPS appeared before the Portfolio Committee on Police on the 5th of March 2025. The presentation that was made by General Khumalo as a Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence and also the leader of the Political Killings Task Team before the committee on the day was not given to me. I did not have a copy of that presentation, but I was part of that sitting of the committee, so I am aware of the presentation, of which a presentation was subsequently received after the sitting of the Portfolio Committee.
And you weren't present yourself, but a further similar presentation was also made on the 6th when the Minister got a presentation from senior management in the police.
I do not know about the meeting of the 6th, Honorable Chair.
Just before we move on about the success of the team, did the team also operate outside of KZN?
That is correct.
Just give us some examples or tell us in which other areas outside of KZN did they operate in?
The Honorable Chair members, the National Commissioner gave the assignment to the team to go and assist with the investigation of cases at the University of Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape. And after that, there was also a request for the team to go and assist with the investigation of organized crime in Gauteng province. And also, they were invited to participate in investigation of one case specific of Umtata in the Eastern Cape that they were assigned to assist on. So I know of those three interventions that the team made outside KZN.
And those, they were assigned to do that by the National Commissioner?
That's correct.
Just for the record, can I ask you to refer to Annexure NSM 2, which is on pages 23. That is a transcript of your presentation 23 to 31. It's in volume, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, volume 2, which is the annexes to your statement, volume 2, page 23. And I just want to ask you to turn to page 24, the last few paragraphs, 4 or 5 paragraphs. So this is what was, perhaps you could read it into the record from that paragraph that begins with, as a result of the excellent performance, the Political Killing Task Team has been assigned to another presidential intervention project.
Okay, I quote on this annex, as a result of the excellent performance, the Political Killings Task Team has been assigned in another presidential intervention project. I can name a few: the killing of the traditional leaders in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the murders that happened in the University of Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape. Since the establishment of this Political Killings Task Team in July 2018, the team has been investigating a total of 612 case dockets. These case dockets include murders, attempted murders, intimidation, conspiracy to commit murders, and other cases. A total of 436 suspects were arrested and charged. 156 firearms were recovered, of which 55 of them were linked directly with a ballistic bullet through a forensic testing to the political related cases. An additional 35 suspects who are members of the South African Police Service were arrested. The notable one is the one who is now in prison, who has been working with a parliamentarian who was involved in the murder about the murder of one Cindy Somakaka. We are going to talk about that later. A total of 128 accused were found guilty on 106 cases. 29 accused were sentenced to life in prison. 40 accused were sentenced between 10 to 35 years. 25 accused were sentenced between 1 to 9 years. 23 accused were sentenced between 3 to 12 months.
And then while you have that annexure there on page 25, and this is, I reference this because this is where it appears the team operates outside of the KZN. On page 25 of that annexure, almost in the middle of the page, that sentence begins with, in the year 2024, a request was received from Gauteng and Organised Crime Investigating Unit. Do you want to read that or discuss that with us?
Yeah, well, I can indicate that in 2024, the Gauteng Organised Crime Unit were investigating a case. That case then resulted into the threat that were directed towards the investigation team. And that threat was also requested, the threat assessment and the support to the investigation team was also requested by the prosecutor that was working on the case. And subsequent to that, crime intelligence were invited to conduct a threat assessment in Gauteng. And when the threat assessment was confirmed against those detectives that were working on that case, then there were recommendations that the South African Police Service tactical units of Gauteng must provide protection to the members that were working on that case. And then crime intelligence decided to deploy counterintelligence teams to investigate further on these threats. And when they conducted that further investigation on the threat, they discovered that the threat was actually coming from some criminal syndicates that are running, that are within that province of Gauteng. As a result of that, then crime intelligence decided to register a case to investigate as part of counterintelligence investigation. And from there, because of this threat that was identified towards the investigators and also further assessment of the threat, there was also an identification of an infiltration of some of the members of the team that were assigned to protect these detectives. They were infiltrated as well. So when that came to the fore, identified by counterintelligence, then the divisional commissioner felt that maybe he should invite the assistance of the task team in KZN to help with that part of the investigation. That is when that engagement was made and the approval was then granted that at least 10 members from this task team must go and assist in Gauteng with that investigation.
And who would the divisional commissioner have been to make that request to assist?
It was the same General Khumalo as a divisional commissioner of crime intelligence and also a project leader of the task team, but knowing that he cannot just take members from the task team and send them where he needed to, so he had to ask for the members to come and assist on the investigation within crime intelligence.
Did that not create a conflict between his position as the head of crime intelligence and also the project leader of the PKTT?
No, it did not.
Why do you say that?
He's a police officer. He works within the rules of the SAPS. That's why I'm saying that he did not, because he did not just take members from the political task team and deploy them somewhere else. He understood that these members from the political task team, they are assigned to work specific project. So if you want to make use of them, he must ask for permission for that to happen. Hence, he approached me, and hence the request to the national commissioner before those members were released. So that's why I'm saying that there was no conflict between the two, because he asked for it.
So in what capacity did he approach you? You at the time, the provincial commissioner of KZN?
He approached me in his capacity as a divisional commissioner of crime intelligence, because the case he was investigating was registered within crime intelligence. So it was a crime intelligence project.
Well, just looking at the statement, it wasn't it the Gauteng case? Didn't this create any jurisdictional issues?
No, the South African Police Service operates in the corners of the Republic of South Africa, so there's no jurisdiction.
But at the time when the matter was being created, this is being headed by senior police within Gauteng, and especially in the organized crime unit. Who would have been the head of the Gauteng organized crime unit? Okay,
maybe let me clarify that part. This, when it initially started, it was a case of organized crime Gauteng, which means it's a unit that falls under the Provincial Commission Gauteng. It's the one where there were threats on. The threats that even the prosecutor that was working on the case wrote a letter to the police management to make sure that the members are provided with security support. The Gauteng management requested crime intelligence to assist with the threat assessment. So crime intelligence provided, they helped them with the threat assessment, and the threat was confirmed. So therefore, Gauteng province had to take responsibility to protect these members, not crime intelligence. But because of what crime intelligence picked up when they're conducting the threat assessment, that seems to suggest that there looks to be some organized criminal activities that are behind this threat. Then crime intelligence registered a counterintelligence investigation. So it was no longer Gauteng or KwaZulu-Natal or Limpopo. It was a counterintelligence within crime intelligence that was registered in the office, at the crime intelligence office, not under the provincial commissioner, but under the divisional commissioner of crime intelligence. So this request for the TN to come over there, it was a case that was under counterintelligence, not under the province of Gauteng. So therefore, there's no jurisdiction. The accounting executive person that accounts on that investigation is General Khumalo himself.
And to what extent would this intervention to request some of the task team members to assist in Gauteng, to what extent, or let me ask the question, did this not also engage Lieutenant General Sabia, who's the head of the detectives, and all the detectives throughout the country, and in particular in Gauteng, are accountable to him?
Maybe, Honorable Chair members, let me correct that last part.
Yeah, please do.
The General Sabia is not in charge of detectives in the country. Detectives, they fall under the provincial commissioners. So provincial commissioners are in charge of detectives. But there's a small amount of them that falls under the division, which is a divisional commissioner in charge of detectives, not the deputy national commissioner. But that is just correction that I wanted to make. I don't want to get deeper, Honorable Chair members, on the how part in terms of what General Khumalo did as he was starting that investigation on the counterintelligence. Who did he engage with? General Sabia is his commander. Did he engage him or he did not engage him? I don't know, because I was not part of it. I'm just speaking on the third party as a person who was informed about what came about. But in terms of more detailed questioning with regard to the team, how it started and all that, I'll invite you to engage that with General Khumalo. But having said that, Honorable Chair members, I must warn you, I said this is a counterintelligence investigation. So what I know for a fact is that perhaps a joint standing committee of intelligence might be a better place to get to know the details in and out of how that investigation goes about. But having said that, I'm speaking under correction. Invite General Khumalo to talk to it.
Senior Counsel, thank you so much.
Honorable Chair.
Yeah, we are an hour since you started, and I see members have been taking notes every time you ask a question, just to check with the members if the there will be any clarity-seeking question based on the questions that you have asked here. Can I rotate?
Chair, I hate to come through a point of order. Can I?
Yeah.
I think we agreed that today is the evidence leader and the general, and that if there is anything that requires agent intervention, it will be brought to attention.
Yeah.
So if no one brings anything to attention, please don't disrupt this, because no one did anything. We were fine. We agreed evidence leader today with the general, and then tomorrow we will come with our questions. Unless the general is not audible or the question from the evidence leader is not clear, then that will be brought to attention. But for now, I think we're fine. We agreed that.
There was a member who raised a hand. That is why I'm checking with all of you so that it must not appear like I'm advantaging one member. So every time there is a member who raises a hand, it becomes an opportunity to all of you to check if you want to clarify anything. Chief Whip.
No, thanks, Chair. No, I think firstly we have clarified the issue that I suppose Honorable Malema was had forgotten. There was a principal position that even today there may be instances where some among us require clarification on certain matters. But I think what was not established, I saw on the group when you were saying after an hour at 4:20, you will check whether we've got questions. I think what we did not establish is the manner in which that is going to be handled. What I suggest, Chair, in agreeing with you, is that in instances where any of us has got a question of clarity to make, let's allow that member through you, by show of hand, allow them to raise a question. And I suggest that so that we don't delay and disrupt the proceeding, you don't make it an automatic opportunity for all of us, because that on its own might delay the proceedings. But if somebody raises his hands or her hand, you are perfectly able to recognize them and let them speak for that few seconds and get clarity and we proceed. Thank you.
Can I check, honorable members, during this window, there is no hand? Okay. Thank you very much, Senior Counsel. We can proceed.
General, just without wanting to get into any detail. So this counterintelligence that you mentioned to us, were you privy to that from Brigadier Khumalo, or was that also off limits to you?
Honorable Chair members, in this instance, we're going to refer to him as General Khumalo. He was a brigadier in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, he's now a general. General Khumalo was slowly briefing me about when he started why he wanted these 10 members, but without giving the details. So I think as time went by, I started getting to know the details of what is happening with that investigation. Initially, I was not much informed about what was it about, but I became aware by default because of the letter of 31st of December that was directed towards affecting my environment. That's what led me to starting to get to know exactly what's happening in Gauteng.
Now, your press briefing on the 6th of July appears to indicate, and we'll deal with it in a bit more detail, that this is a national malaise within the South African Police Service, the infiltration of the service, the infiltration of the entire criminal justice system, all those allegations that you make. But you appear at both at the press conference and in your statement, you appear only to reference or to refer to the examples of KZN and Gauteng. Is there a reason why you only do that, or is it also your evidence that this is widespread and is a national problem?
Honorable Chair members, yes, I did address South Africans on the 6th of July 2025. I might have made a reference on incidents that seems to be affecting directly KZN and Gauteng, but I did during the press brief indicate that the criminality that exists does not only function within these two provinces, but it affects the rest of the country. Honorable Chair members, what informed me, part of it, we are sitting in a province where one fellow police officer was traced by criminals and killed when he arrived home. May his soul rest in peace. And when we saw what was then happening at the time, we then realized that a part of the problems that the members in the Western Cape were fighting for are pretty much involved in Gauteng. They stretch from Western Cape to Gauteng. And we have many examples of them. The late general who was in this province dealing with gangsters had traced the involvement of illegal issuing of firearms by our very own Farm Control Office in Pretoria, illegal issuing of firearms to the criminals in Gauteng. And there's criminals in Gauteng that are involved in drugs, and the drugs that the Gauteng team is part of, and the drugs that do come from the borders of our country, which it's in many provinces. And so it's not necessarily a problem that was a KZN and Gauteng province. It's a problem that involved the rest of the country.
Now there's a board that is established, which is composed or comprised of all the senior officers, headed obviously by the National Commissioner, Provincial Commissioners, and also divisional heads. Is that right?
You talk about the Board of Commissioners?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
And how often do you meet?
Ideally, it sits on quarterly basis, but sometimes the meetings get deferred in case of emergencies, there are ad hoc specific meetings that are called in between.
So are or have these national or these issues which you say also applies nationally Have they been raised there? Have they been discussed there? And if so, were any strategies devised to deal with them?
Which things, if I may ask, Honourable Chair, specifically you're referring to?
Well, I started off by asking you whether the issue between KZN and Gauteng, and this issue where the PKTT members were seconded to Gauteng to assist, to protect, and the cartel, the drug cartel in Gauteng, whether this is only limited to that province, or whether it's also a malaise that affects the rest of the country. And you seem to indicate that is the case, and you also reference the Western Cape, and we know of the notorious gang culture here. So I'm asking whether these issues are discussed at that board level where all the senior police officers are there, and you can raise these issues so that you can obviously address them, and if they are so serious that you find some way of dealing with them.
Yes, Honourable Chair and members, the Board of Commissioner has a specific agenda that it works on, and the agenda of the BOC will involve the discussions with regard to the crime in the country. We will talk about the matters that are coming from the operational section of the police, which is referred to as the National Crime Combating Forum. We will discuss matters that are coming from the administration side of the police. So majority of the issues, intelligence briefing is part of the agenda items. So matters that the Honourable the SC is asking in relation to the cases that the political or the organized counterintelligence that we're investigating in Gauteng are part of those discussions that are taking place within the BOC through the NOC and intelligence briefings, but not in details. That's on a high level. The detailed part in terms of project on on operations are discussed within the National Crime Combating Operations Structure.
And would there, when was the last such meeting?
The Board of Commissioners meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, I will have to remember. I've been so busy since July to date. But it did happen, I think, at the beginning of this financial year. I'll remember the date. It could probably be around June or so. There was a meeting that took place. But I can give you the date if you really want to know the last meeting.
Well, not necessarily, but I just wanted to ask or establish or ascertain whether such a meeting was held where these issues could be raised before you went public on the 6th of July.
You're talking about the issues that are raised in public. Yeah. Definitely those issues were not for the BOC.
Why?
Maybe I should share the agenda item for the BOC. Then it would be easier for you to understand what does a BOC discuss and what does the National Crime Combating Forum discuss. And what other different forums we have in the police, what is it that they discuss? These which I spoke about on the 6th of July were matters of strictly within intelligence space, if I can use that word, but were matters that were affecting the work of the PKTT. The PKTT only working in KZN. And the only person that will know about the works of the PKTT other than General Kumalo will be the National Commission. And the rest of the other people, you bring a Provincial Commission of Northern Cape, of Western Cape, and you bring the PKTT into the agenda item of the meeting that these Provincial Commissioners are attending. It doesn't concern them much, the issues of PKTT. So those activities that we ended up talking about on the 6th of July are experiences and things that were picked up during the investigations that were conducted at the counterintelligence operation that was running in Gauteng. And subsequent to the letter of the disbandment of the team that was signed on the 31st of December.
Senior Counsel, I have a request from the members that you should speak closer to the microphone.
Oh, can you hear me now? Sure. Sorry. Maybe I lost my voice this morning.
The members are the ones who must indicate to me if they hear you.
Thank you. So General, perhaps it's then appropriate to move to the ministerial directive of the 31st of December 2024. Now, just before we get there, just so that we can get the chronology out of the way, up until that last interministerial committee meeting in, what was it now, September, November of 2023, the minister then would have been Minister Bheki Cele. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Would you say that he was a supporter of the PKTT?
The Minister of Police, together with other ministers that were assigned by the President, they were quite satisfied with the work that the team was doing. I wouldn't say he was a supporter. This is no football claim. This is the police work.
And then in 2024, we have the general elections, and subsequent to that, we have the formation of the GNU, and we have the appointment of a new Minister Senzo Mchunu. What was your response, if any, when you heard that he had been appointed as the Minister of Police?
Did not respond to anything. I took note.
Do you or did you know him at the time of his appointment?
Yeah, well, besides knowing the minister as the former premier of the province where I come from, but I had personally met him in his own house prior I would say few weeks before his appointment to the police. I was privileged to meet with him in his own house.
What was the occasion of that meeting?
It was a meeting arranged by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. He personally wanted to introduce me to the Minister of Water Affairs. So I drove with him into his house and we met, we drank coffee and we got to know each other. That was that.
So, but this is, when you talk about the Chief of Staff, this is
Mr. Nkabinde.
Mr. Nkabinde, who subsequently was appointed Chief of Staff when
That's correct.
Minister Mchunu was appointed. So,
Yeah.
so at the time, Nkabinde wasn't yet the Chief of Staff.
Yeah, well, I was unemployed at the time.
Was he not employed? Was he unemployed?
Unemployed. Not employed, unemployed. See.
So, and you obviously knew him, Mr. Nkabinde.
Yes, I did.
How did you know him? What was your relationship with him?
I got to know Mr. Nkabinde because he was working at IPET and he was close to the one investigator within IPET, Mr. Nhlanhla, who was working with him at the time, the late Mr. Nhlanhla, who was a brother to a colleague of mine who was working in the police, was a brigadier in the police. So I then eventually got to know Nkabinde through him, and then we became close with Nkabinde as well.
And Nkabinde, did he do any service in the police?
Nkabinde is a former policeman. He left the South African Police Service as a junior member as an investigator and was recruited by IPET, and he worked at IPET for many years, and then he left IPET and he was unemployed after that.
What was his rank in SAPS when he was at SAPS?
I'm not sure exactly, but he was holding a junior rank. I think he was an uncommissioned officer, perhaps between the rank of sergeant and the warrant officer. But I'm speaking under correction. I'm sure if he's invited, he'll be able to give his profile. But he was one of the junior members when he left the service.
And what was the reason that he left SAPS?
I think it was greener pastures to go to IPET. It was a higher position that he applied for.
So he became an investigator at IPET. Who headed IPET at the time?
Mr. Robert McBride was the boss of IPET at the time.
And what would have been the reason why Mr. Nkabinde left IPET? Did he leave IPET? Was he dismissed? What was his reason for leaving?
Honorable Chair members, I wouldn't necessarily know the details, perhaps he will elaborate on that. I can only speak about what he told me. Of course, it was not under oath. He was talking to me as a person that was close to. His words to me was that he couldn't stand the wrong that is happening at IPET. Between his boss, Mr. Robert McBride, together with a famous Paul Sullivan and the current head of IDEC investigation, Advocate Sissoko. He was just not happy with how they were doing business at IPET at the time.
So he resigned, that seems, according to you, out of frustration.
What I know is that there were issues that he was resigning and they were charging him departmentally. So there was quite a fight between him and management of IPET at the time.
And in particular, did you mention a fight between him and McBride and Paul Sullivan?
Well, I know of Paul Sullivan because he was very vocal in the media against Nkabinde. So I don't know about Mr. McBride exactly what was the issue because, well, I never spoke to him. Like I'm saying, I'm taking from what Nkabinde was telling me. Whether is that a fact or not, I do not know. If he comes here and come and explain, and Mr. McBride come and explain, perhaps Mr. Sissoko, Advocate Sissoko comes and explain, they might shed light as to what was the reason and how did they part ways with Nkabinde. But what I know is that there was trouble there that involved him and eventually left him.
And after he left IPET, was he unemployed for a period or did you assist him in finding another job?
Yeah, well, he was unemployed at the time, so he was just engaging on his own. I couldn't get him a job. I'm a civil servant, so I couldn't afford to, I did not have contacts to help him get a job. But I know that he was unemployed. I just cannot remember the duration, but he was unemployed for some time up until he received that phone call from the minister to appoint him as the chief of staff, where he shared with me as well.
Now before his appointment there, you were close friends, did you say?
Well, he was a person that I was acquainted to. I was talking to him more often. He will share a lot of things, especially with regard to the work he was doing at IPET. So I ended up knowing more about those things. But in terms of his private life, what he does, I know he goes to church. Which church he goes to, I don't know. So I'm not that close to him to get to know those other private part of him. But in terms of the professional side of things, I got to know him. I said I knew him because of his colleague, Mr. Nhlanhla, who was working with him. So the relationship between me and him was more of a colleague relationship we had.
Okay. And the meeting that he arranged for you to meet with then Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, how did that come about? Did you know that Nkabinde has a relationship, or what was his relationship with Minister Mchunu, then Minister of Water and Sanitation?
Honorable Chair members, the Senior Counsel is asking me some of the things that he's asking are not necessarily my statement, but I will talk to it because I took an oath, although they are not here, but they can be investigated and proven to be correct. Honorable Chair members, what the SC is asking me about what Mr. Nkabinde told me about how we got to know the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu. Of course, it's something I'm going to present here, which I still need to establish myself the facts of what he had told me, which I have not finalized it yet. I'm still part of establishing the facts. But the fact is, he and Mr. McBride had flown, they took a flight from Gauteng, and they landed in Durban, and they traveled from Durban to Mbangeni at the minister's residence. And they went to meet the minister to go and tell him about the criminal investigation that the two of them were busy with at IPET. And it will appear that at the time that the minister might have been implicated on the case. But the two of them had somehow have some working arrangement with the minister. That's what brought the three of them close to each other. That's how the relationship came about. Well, I didn't believe much of what he told me. He mentioned that, and of course I asked, I said, but what type of a case? What is this that you were busy with? And he said there was a death of someone in KZN. And the minister at the time was accused to have interfered with the destruction of an evidence, a crucial evidence that was there. And that led into, because there was a police officers, bodyguards that were involved, that were working with the minister at that time when he was a premier. That led into the involvement of IPID, because IPID will ordinarily investigate cases that involve police. So that's how IPID came involved from that case, because there was a complaint of the police involvement on the wrong. So in the investigation, it led into some degree an act that the premier at the time have done wrong. That what made them to be close to each other. But as to the reason why they never arrested the premier at the time, I don't have the details of it. As I say, it's part of the things that I'm still making inquiries on, because he had not given me the case number at the time when he was telling me that. He just mentioned that that's how they got to know each other. The relationship started from there. To my surprise is that there's a one former chief of staff of the police, of the Minister of Police at the time, who also confirmed the same thing to me recently, not a few weeks ago. He said that Mr. Nkabinde shared the same thing with him. So that made me realize it means the relationship between him and the minister was formed out of an investigation that Nkabinde was doing. That's how they got to know each other. Because at the time, Nkabinde was not a politician, although of late I see him wearing political party t-shirts, but he was not a politician at the time.
And was it at the time that Minister Mchunu was the Minister of Water and Sanitation, or was it at the time that he was the Premier? We know he was the Premier of KZN.
Are you talking about when they got to know each other?
Yeah, this other incident. I think earlier you mentioned the word Premier.
No, I'm saying that the incident allegedly happened at the time when the minister was a premier. But I think the time when Mr. Nkabinde, together with Mr. Robert Mwaprad, according to Nkabinde's words, not mine, when they went to meet with the minister, he was no longer a premier at the time. So I do not know whether he was a minister of water or was minister of public service, but he was no longer a premier when they met with him. So that's how the relationship started, the two of them. Otherwise, the minister did not know Nkabinde, and Nkabinde didn't know the minister, but their relationship started on the day.
So when this phone call happened between you and Nkabinde, was Nkabinde unemployed?
Which phone call, sir?
To set up this meeting with the minister, who was then Minister of Water and Sanitation, where you had coffee with the minister. You were invited to his house. Yeah,
he was unemployed, yes. Nkabinde, when he took me to the minister. Yeah, Nkabinde was not working.
So was that call coming from him, or was that a request that you made of him to go and meet with the minister?
No, it was Nkabinde that wanted me, since I'm a provincial commissioner in the province and he knows the minister. So he wanted, after he told me how they got to know each other, they're very close, so he wanted to demonstrate to me that they are indeed close. So I drove with him, and I didn't have a problem getting to the minister. So that's how I got to meet the minister.
And what business did you have to discuss with the minister in your capacity as the provincial commissioner?
No, nothing. It was just get to know the minister. I'm here. I'm a provincial commissioner here. I know that you're close to Nkabinde. He told me that you're close to each other. That's why we're here today. So other than that, there was nothing else. We just sat there and we talked general, and from there we left.
What was your impression of the minister at the time?
Well, I was convinced that the two of them know each other very well, him and Nkabinde. And then, because Nkabinde told me that they are close, I had to get a confirmation on the day that indeed they are close. So that's why when the minister phoned him, allegedly, when he called him to ask him to be chief of staff, Nkabinde phoned me and he asked me, what does chief of staff do? Because he had no clue what's the chief of staff.
Did Nkabinde tell you that he was the chief of staff or was going to be appointed chief of staff?
Yeah, he said the minister wants him to be a chief of staff. He wants to appoint him as a chief of staff, and he had no clue what is a chief of staff.
And was that before the minister was appointed minister of?
Before he was sworn in.
Before he was sworn in.
That's correct.
So how long before the minister was sworn in as Minister of Police did Nkabinde tell you that Minister Mchunu was going to be appointed?
Yeah, no, I will not remember the date. But I think it was before the official announcement was made, because it was in the evening when he phoned me.
What was your reaction?
First was the chief of staff does administration, and I believe you're a policeman. I don't know whether you're going to deal with administration things on one side. On the other side, whether you know how to give advices on strategic issues of departments. At the time, I knew the minister was working in water affairs. And I asked him, so if you're going to give advice on ministers on issues of water affairs, I don't know what you know about that business and so forth. So then it came out later that actually was not going to Home Affairs, was coming to the police.
So when the announcement was made that Senzo Mchunu was going to be appointed Minister of Police, you were not surprised?
Yeah, well, I'm never surprised on any appointment. So it didn't bother me. It's the president that decides. So there's no expectations, so therefore there's no surprise.
Chairperson, Honourable Chairperson, may we have a short comfort break? And also the other issue I asked you offline, because we scheduled to have a meeting with General Sabia at 6. So one of us will have to attend to that meeting.
I want us to push until very late. No, it's just on a lighter note. I grant you the comfort break.
Thank you. And it's just a short break.
No,
for Ms. Mkhwanazi to
I'm giving you
stuff and
the other details you will share with me. I'm giving you 15 minutes, honourable members.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General. We are going to have a comfort break for 15 minutes. Thank you. Yeah, honourable members, thank you so much. The time that was allocated for the comfort break has been exhausted. So I'm going to hand over to the senior counsel to proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, and thank you for the short adjournment. And General Mkhwanazi, thank you. You're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Can we move to the directive of 31 December 2024? It is annexure NSM 5.
Just before I see hands of honourable members. I see Honourable Nombalo, Honourable Sangon. Let's hear what the issues are, Senior Counsel. Honourable Nombalo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I just want to be clear on the question and the answer that was given there too, in relation to the appointment of Mr. Nkabinde as the Chief of Staff. Was he appointed, in terms of the response that was given, when the minister was a Minister of Water and Sanitation, or when he was a Minister of Police, or a Premier rather? And subsequently, there was a mention of an intention to appoint during a discussion that they had, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Senzo Mchunu. At what stage did that discussion take place? And also, the response that was not clear to me is a response on the relationship between General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and Mr. Nkabinde. I think the question was asking a relationship in a context of their official duties and outside. Now, I'm not sure whether the question was only related to their official duties or outside, or they even have a relationship even outside their official duties. I just need clarity on that. Thank you very much.
You want to know the private part? Your question may be broken into 2 or 3. So please just satisfy yourself that all the 3 aspects of your question have been answered. Senior Counsel, remember you are the one who is leading evidence. So the honourable member has asked a question here, and can you please respectfully convey the question to the General?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. The question from the Honourable Member, General Mkhwanazi, did you hear that one?
Yes, I heard it.
Okay, then I won't repeat it because I didn't hear it tonight.
Honourable Chair, maybe to try and assist, I said earlier, myself and Mr. Nkabinde got to know each other on a professional level because he was working with someone that I knew. He was a colleague at IP, the colleague of Mr. Nhlanhla, the late. Mr. Nhlanhla was a brother of a former police brigadier who was my friend. So I'm friends with Brigadier Nhlanhla. Brigadier Nhlanhla has got a brother who's Nhlanhla, who works for IP, and that Nhlanhla works with Nkabinde. That's how I got to know Nkabinde first. So the engagement in Nkabinde was always about work issues, mostly, nothing else. Until he's out of the job, then we'll start telling me about how is he trying to make the ends living and how he's trying to survive on things. So we ended up having those casual talks with him. That's why I said earlier, I don't necessarily know much about his private life, not much about his family. I know his house, I know his wife and his 2 boys, but the rest, I didn't necessarily know much about him because we're not friends to that extent. It's people that know each other. So the engagement between myself and Mr. Nkabinde and the minister only happened on the day when Mr. Nkabinde took me to Mpangeni. I drove with him to Mpangeni where we met the minister. And it was just to show that he knows the minister, and there was nothing else more that was discussed. There was no promise of a job. There was nothing else. That's why I said earlier, I cannot remember at the time whether the minister was at public service or was at water or what, but I like to believe perhaps he was already at water. But because I didn't pay attention, I cannot tell you exactly definitely the day when we visited which department he was working for. But I knew that he was a minister at the time. So therefore, there was no telephone calls between us in relation to his appointment. So his appointment as a chief of staff, I said at the time he was working for IPIT. He left IPIT, he was unemployed. Up until the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, was appointed as a Minister of Police. That is when he invited Nkabinde to come and join him to work with him as a chief of staff. That was the first time Nkabinde got to be employed, literally basically moving from a very junior rank that he was holding in the police to a chief director position that he ended up occupying, which he occupies now, a chief director in the office of the minister. So that's why I said earlier, when he received the phone call from the minister asking him to become a chief of staff, he had no clue what is a chief of staff. He phoned me to ask me, what do chief of staffs do? Because the only thing Nkabinde knew is a case docket, because he was just an investigator. That's all he knew. So when he was invited to become a chief of staff was a shocker to him, but I ended up telling him about the amount of money he's going to be paid when he gets to that position. Obviously, I did not know about other qualifications that he needed to have, but he was appointed. He became a chief of staff. He is a chief of staff. I hope I've covered that.
Honourable Nombalo, are you fine? Okay. Honourable Sangun.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I think I've got 2 questions for clarity, although one might be procedural. The first one, I know that the evidence leader did ask the General why he went to see the minister, and I think the General said he wanted to meet. That's why I need clarity, because I'm interested to know whether it's normal procedure that a provincial commissioner is just introduced to ministers, or was there any other reason? And then secondly, when the general then went to see the minister, was the general aware at the time that the minister was a person of interest, because he would have had, he would be privy to this information that is coming out? Then, Chairperson, my last question is just about procedure. I'm looking for clarity on procedure. The general in his testimony did indicate that there are questions that are being raised that don't cover the statement. Now, we've said as this Ad Hoc Committee that we're not going to try and push anything under the carpet, but I'm worried where we are going to constantly be encountering testimony that is not in the statement. Now, will we be getting a supplementary statement, for example, on those issues, so that when we engage them, we would at least have them on the record? Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
The Senior Counsel.
Chair, on the last aspect, Honourable Member, or do you first want to deal with the first part of your question?
Yeah, if you can please get closer to the microphone.
We did discuss, and I touched on it in our opening statement this morning, and we raised it with General Mkhwanazi in our consultation last, when we recognized him ahead of yesterday, that I will from time to time ask him about matters or issues or questions that doesn't arise from his statement, for the reason that, this procedure or process is different from Nhlanhla. General Mkhwanazi is going to appear here today, and tomorrow honourable members will ask him questions, and then he will leave. Whereas at Nhlanhla, he has given evidence there extensively. He will have to go back to the Commission to be cross-examined by those implicated by him in his evidence there, and also those implicated by him will get an opportunity to give their evidence to the Commission and also be cross-examined, presumably by the evidence leaders. We here, before this committee, we don't have that luxury. I have put to General Mkhwanazi, and certainly he indicated to us that he doesn't have a problem with it, that we will also put to him, in fairness, the versions of other persons who are implicated by him in his evidence, for him to respond, which is not necessarily in his statement, Honourable Chair.
I'm noting your hand, Honourable Malim. Let's allow the Senior Counsel first to facilitate for... Okay.
Chair, I really don't understand how you want us to proceed, because it must be on the basis of technicalities, audibility, and things like that. If you're going to allow them to ask questions, we're going to ask questions. Don't do that. We agreed each member is going to get 30 minutes tomorrow. And if they ask questions now and tomorrow they ask questions on their 30 minutes, they've got 35 minutes. Are you going to afford me that? Please don't do that. The last question Honourable Sangoni raised, it's a proper question. It's a clarity. It's a procedural matter that, okay, now that this thing is not in the statement, what do we do with it? And the Senior Counsel clarified it. And that I accept that. What the General is being asked about is his relationship with Nkabinde, which is covered in the annexure from Nhlanhla. He spoke about Nkabinde in Nhlanhla. So remember, we've got this main statement, we've got annexures, and we can ask questions based on all of those annexures that are here, if you have gone through them. There's nothing irrelevant about that. But to ask the questions of why do you go to a minister? Is that a procedure to go to ministers? No, it's not clarity. It's not dealing with any technicality. It's a question that can be asked tomorrow in your 30 minutes. And if you're going to proceed like that, then they're going to get more time than all of us. And what do we do tomorrow? So it's unfair, Chair. Let the questions be on procedural issues, on technical issues. That's what we agreed on. Not anyone wanting to take advantage and we have more time at our expense. Thanks.
Okay. Can we agree that the questions will be answered tomorrow? Yes.
Chair will agree for the sake of peace, but you allowed questions from MK. But in order for us to proceed, we will stand down and agree. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Let's agree that those questions will be answered tomorrow. Can we? Okay. Honourable Novalo.
Chair, we just need clarity so that we will be clear as we move forward. Remember that asking question was on the basis of the proposal that was made by the Chief Whip of the ANC. That members can only be allowed to ask questions on issues arising from the questions asked by the evidence leader to the witness. Not new questions, but on areas where we have not been clear in terms of the responses that have been given. And asking questions emanated from that. We're not asking new questions, but we wanted to be clear for our records so that when we make records, we make proper records from the correct understanding of what has been a response. So if there's a deviation from that, Chairperson, just say members will no longer be allowed to ask questions, because it is a position of this meeting, and that position was motivated by the Chief Whip of the ANC.
Let me say this. I agree with the questions that you raised, Honourable Novalo. There is nothing wrong with that. I agree with the last part of the questions that Honourable Sangoni has raised. And her two questions that she raised first will be answered tomorrow. That's what we are saying. Is it very clear?
Can I come in, Chair? Now the question, Chair, is should we ask questions going forward, emanating from a misunderstanding of what has been? You
wanted to clarify certain matters regarding the relationship that Mr. Nkabinde had with Minister Mchunu. And the questions that you raised were not new questions. they were based on questions that were raised by the senior counsel. And that is why I say I agree with those questions. That is why I even came back to you to check if you were satisfied with the answers that were given. So it means if you may have questions later, you can still ask those clarity-seeking questions. Like Honorable Sangone had asked a question about procedural matters, which the senior counsel has clarified because it's a matter of procedure. But there are other two questions that she raised, which may be on the borderline. And that is why I agree with her when she says, for the sake of peace, let's continue. And I give a ruling because I don't want us to discuss the merits and the demerits of the questions. Where I stand, they are on the borderline. It may be very difficult if we may end up being polemical about them. So those questions are noted. They will be answered tomorrow. Is that fine, honorable members? Senior counsel, may we please proceed?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. General Mkhwanazi, I was moving to the Minister's Directive of 31 December 2024. It is NSM 5, which is on page 78 and 79. General Mkhwanazi, okay, we can take it as read.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Honorable Chair and Honorable members, this has been in the part of the bundle. So to save time, I'm not going to read it, and I'm not going to ask the witness. I just want to deal with your leave with the issues that arise from this letter. There are three: the freezing of posts in crime intelligence, the directive relating to the port of entry, and 3, the disbandment of PKTT. Any comment on why these 3 issues were packaged in this way?
Yeah, well, I'm not an author. The minister is the one who signed this. If I were to express my feeling about it, it was just strange that such strategic and very critical issues of the organization, never mind the fact that they're operational, but they're very critical, that a minister felt that it's important to send this communication in the form of a letter in this fashion, literally 2 days after the National Commissioner started his leave, and exactly almost 3 or 4 days after he parted ways with the National Commissioner, where he was with him in person in the funeral, and he never spoke about these things. So for such serious things to just be at that time of the year, be written like this, it makes one to ask questions as to why. I guess is that why question that led us here today?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you why with 3 such key issues that seems to, your comment, that seems to fit into this narrative of organized crime, intelligence, borders, for example, drugs, illicit goods move across the borders, and of course the disbandment of the PKTT, which is going to be the focus of our attention. But just your comment, did this also raise suspicions on your part?
Yeah, when I saw it, immediately I said, but this is very strange. But I just don't understand. I'm with the minister on a Saturday, together with the National Commissioner, and we part ways, and they all say happy New Year to all of them. And on the second, then the letter comes through, and it's a letter that talks about decisions that have got serious consequences in the organization. Stop filling vacancies now. When it became so urgent that you couldn't talk to the accounting officer when you were with him a few days back. Now, of course, when we started asking questions, because these, at the time, one did not know why these specific 3 areas. But as the time progresses, then we got to understand why. And it is that understanding of the why that ended up leading us into trying to intervene in the manner that we did.
Now, you deal with it, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, you deal with this decision from pages 810 through to 17, paragraphs 14 to 30. I'm not going to ask you to read through it. I'm going to ask you some pointed questions that arise from it. Sorry. Is it correct that the minister had not received a single briefing from those in charge of the PKTT prior to the 31st of December, and in particular yourself and Lieutenant General Khumalo?
Yeah, well, I know now after engaging both General Khumalo and the National Commissioner that they didn't brief him, but from my side, I knew that I had not briefed him to date.
And between July 2024, when Minister Mchunu was appointed by the President as Minister of Police, and 31 December 2024, there hadn't been any of this interministerial committee meetings that you had earlier described and referred to?
No, definitely. There were no such meetings.
You also saw the Minister on the 28th of December 2024. What was that occasion? And at that occasion was Mr. Nkabinde, Chief of Staff Nkabinde, with him?
Honorable Chair and members, I cannot remember whether Mr. Nkabinde was there, but I do remember that the Minister in our last meeting that we had with him in December, he was a functionary at the funeral of a police officer that died at Lekganyane in KZN. and the Minister of Police was a functionary in that official funeral that was held there. So I was with him there. I do not know much about Nkabinde. I cannot remember.
So we're going to talk about when you learned about this directive, because as you can see, it's addressed to the National Commissioner, General Masamolo, and let me see if it's copied to anyone else. No, it's just addressed to him. So you weren't aware of this letter. We'll get to when you... but since you learned of this letter subsequent to the 31st of December, were you disappointed that he never raised this issue at all with you on the 28th of December when you saw him at the funeral?
Yeah, Honourable Chair, members, as the SC indicates that on my statement, I indicate I speak a lot, I write a lot about the events of the 2nd of January 2025 when I first became aware of this letter. My initial response from the time I saw the letter was just shocked and surprised that how can a minister write such a serious letter that is going to have so much implications in the organization. And more concern is that I had already met the minister, and I wouldn't want the executive authority to do things that is against the law. And so I have a responsibility to bring to his attention. But at the time, I felt it is important to use a shortcut because I got to meet the minister before he became the Minister of Police through Mr. Nkabinde. I know Mr. Nkabinde is the office of the minister. He had asked me what Chief of Staff does. So upon seeing this letter, he was the first person I called, because I believe that there cannot be any document going to the minister for signature without his knowledge. So I called him. I said, Nkabinde, the minister signed a letter that says the following. Are you aware of this letter? And his response was, yes, I am aware of the letter. But according to him, the letter was going back and forth by whoever between the minister, whoever was drafting the letter and the minister. That made me believe that the minister is not the author. Someone else prepared this letter for the minister, and the minister signed it. Because Nkabinde's response to me was, after the letter was signed, after it going back and forth, then he was pressured to make sure this letter is delivered at the office of the National Commission on the 31st. So, and hence the letter was delivered. So this was from his words that made me believe that there's someone somewhere who influences the minister to do this. I think they were giving the minister wrong advice. I wanted to correct that. That's why I felt it's important for me to plead with Mr. Nkabinde that, can you, Mr. Nkabinde, if you are coming down to KZN, you must arrange a meeting between myself, you, and the minister so we can sit down and talk about the implications of this. Because if the minister will have a letter like this that says we are disestablishing a team, there's consequences that's going to come as a result. And one of the consequences is that the minister might be seen to be defeating the end of justice, because we're literally saying that the investigations that are currently underway must stop immediately. And that is going to have serious consequences of the minister. So I wouldn't want the minister to get to this, because I saw a risk that the minister is going to be held liable for this decision. So I wanted to address it with the minister and give him advice, using Nkabinde as a person that I know is close to the minister, and I got to see the minister for the first time through him. But unfortunately, it did not happen.
So just to summarize, is it Nkabinde who told you that the minister was in fact not the author of this letter? Is it Nkabinde who told you that there was seemingly an exchange of drafts going back and forth before the letter was finalized? Is it that caused you to conclude that there was third-party involvement, whether it's one or more persons, we don't know, and also that made you conclude that this is not the minister's handwork, it's a third party involved?
Yeah, well, it was his words when he said this letter has been going back and forth, but he did not say who is the author. When he said it's been going back and forth, being corrected, and after that, he was pressured to make sure the letter is submitted. From there, I concluded that someone else was behind this letter, and Nkabinde had to facilitate it to send it to the minister for signature.
Sorry, Honourable Chair, may my colleague be excused? We've got a 6 o'clock scheduled with...
No, I have sanctioned that, Senior Counsel. Honourable members, Maria has to leave us because they have to conclude engagements with General Sidia. Thank you so much, Senior Counsel. You can
thank you, Chair, and honourable members for the indulgence. You must have been shocked at this revelation by your good friend, Mr. Nkabinde. Given the importance of these matters, all three matters, border control, crime intelligence is huge. We know it's been at the heart of a lot of issues in our country for a number of years. These are all important, critical issues. Now you hear there's been a back and forth. The minister may not have drafted the letter himself. You suspect third-party involvement.
Yeah, no, it was indeed a concern. But I must say, Honourable Chair members, on the day when I became aware of this, I couldn't blame Nkabinde on anything, because he was honest to tell me that the letter was going back and forth, being corrected, and he was pressured to make sure that it's delivered at the Office of the National Commission. So I like to believe that, giving him a benefit of doubt, that on the day when this letter was drafted and subsequent to it being forwarded to the Office of the National Commissioner, he perhaps had no role to play with regard to the content of the letter, except to do the administration processes of it. The problem then came on the following day, when the following day this letter, or the content of my engagement with him, appeared in the social media somewhere. that I threatened the Minister of Police with arrest and so forth, because I had said that if this is going to be implemented like this, the minister will be accused of crime, and that might end up bad towards the minister. So let's fix this. That was the exact same day when this letter was leaked. So unfortunately, the following day after talking to Mr. Nkabinde, the conversation between me and him was twisted somehow in the social media, but it landed in social media. So then we had a conversation the following day where he said to me, he believes his phone was somehow been tapped by someone was listening to a conversation and so forth. He did not share the conversation with anyone. So that's when I started asking myself questions about Nkabinde himself. Because I'm engaging with him the day before, the following day, our conversation is on social media. It made me realize that perhaps he's the one that leaked it. Honorable Chair members, I then am not going to talk much about what I became aware of most recently, that indeed Nkabinde was instructed to record me at the time, instructed to record the conversation between me and him. So it means when I was talking to him, I was recording, and he would have shared that recording to someone. That's why that recording ended up in the social media the following day. But it was not
Can we just clarify this? You don't have copies of what was on social media?
No, I don't have it with me, but I can try and trace it. But there were a lot of, at the time, there were a lot of communication that was out there on the social media, but I can try and see if I can research, but I don't have anything with me.
Yeah, because what I think we would also like to know is whether what appeared on social media, is it actually exactly the same as what was recorded in your conversation with him allegedly?
I can tell you, not all of it, but by and large, the conversation between me and him was there in the social media communication.
And forgive me if I'm offside, just tell me or ignore the question. But did I also understand that there's an allegation that you, when you spoke to Nkabinde, you had threatened the minister?
I was warning Nkabinde that if this letter, with its content the way it is not withdrawn, and the work of the police in terms of investigation come to a halt as is directed by this letter, this is going to have consequences towards the minister, because the minister has got no jurisdiction in stopping a criminal investigation that is running. So this letter is literally saying that this team must stop with immediate effect. I'm not quoting verbatim, but it is basically, the task team be disestablished immediately. Those are the words. So if you are saying that, you are saying, if the case is in court, stop working. If the case and investigation stop working, just stop everything at once. That's the consequences this letter has. So I was warning Nkabinde that you better make sure that you and the minister sit and talk about this, because I don't know what is the circumstances that led into Mr. signing it, but the implication of the letter will land the minister in trouble. So it was there that the following day, which appeared on social media as if I threatened the minister when I was communicating with Mr. Nkabinde.
So did you see either the whole or part of your discussion on social media yourself, or was this reported to you by someone that what is this that appeared on social media, and you then saw it?
Yeah, well, I saw the communication. I cannot remember how it came to me, but I saw the communication of what was out there that was spread.
So did you speak to Nkabinde either on the 3rd after this appeared on social media or afterwards?
Yeah, we've been talking. Afterwards, we've been talking up until most recently. I think after my press briefing, then we pass each other now. We don't talk to each other.
But what has come from your discussions or talks with him? He appears certainly, with respect from what you're telling this honourable committee and us, that he seems to be a central figure in all of this.
In all of what?
Well, the letter, and you say that he knew there was a toing and froing of the letter. He also told you that he was pressured into getting the letter out on the 31st of December, on New Year's Eve, which in itself sounds, I don't think one needs evidence on this. It sounds really odd that on New Year's Eve, such an important document is released. So I'm asking about his central role in this, his appointment as Chief of Staff, when according to you, he's not even qualified for this role, doesn't have the qualification. I must confess, I don't know what the qualifications might be, but I suppose we can look that up on the public service regulations, what it entails. But it sounds to me that he wasn't quite qualified for the job. So that's why I'm asking you to comment on that proposition, that he seems to be quite a key figure in all of this.
Honourable Chair and honourable members, it sometimes can be dangerous to express your opinion about something that you don't have effect on. Since the S is asking me my impression I have is that Mr. Nkabinde was recruited or was appointed by the Minister Chief of Staff, and he had no clue about what Chief of Staff does. So he had to adjust in the office. He had to learn as he was going. That's why I know that the other former Chief of Staff at the office of the Minister can come here and testify that he also phoned him and seek advice as to what does Chief of Staff do. And he also had to coach him about what Chief of Staffs are doing. And so he had to adjust as he learned as he was going. And I think that's why even he started learning politics, because he was never a politician. So I see him today with T-shirts of political parties, which I don't think he even understands what it takes to be a politician. So he adjusted as he was going along to please his boss.
Learning on the job.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious about, and what I think many of us here would be curious about, is you continue to engage with Nkabinde, despite clear shortcomings that he has in that post, despite the critical role he plays in that post. A Chief of Staff presumably is very close to, that's why you appoint someone Chief of Staff.
Honourable Chair and honourable members, these things are happening. The letter comes out, I speak to Chief of Staff, And after that, he said he tried to secure a meeting with the minister, is not able to. And next thing he says to me, no, he did not release the information that I was talking to him about. That someone tapped his phone or something like that. So I had no reason not to believe what he was telling me. So all the time, even when we meet in meetings, because the person I know, so we'll engage. As the time went by in this first 6 months of the year, I started getting more information about his role that he plays in some of the meetings, how vocal he becomes in some of the meetings, and which was strange to me that, but he's got no role there. How does he become this vocal? So slowly then I started monitoring his social media and then WhatsApp status. Then I started realizing he's no longer the man that I knew he was, because as I say, he's now a politician. He talks about politics and he displays t-shirts of political parties, rallies and all those things, which is now away from what the chief of staff is supposed to do. And that's when I started realizing that maybe is what I'm hearing about his involvement about interfering with police work might be true as the time progresses. Until such time that eventually we started picking up other evidence. I think when I went public on the 6th of July, the lines were drawn between me and him. So we never really engaged after that.
I think you've answered the question that initially you were reluctant to answer. You don't want to express an opinion on Gabinde.
No, I said it's sometimes it's wrong to express an opinion without facts. But since you asked me the question, and I felt maybe I can express opinion because this is my observation. So I'm qualifying it like that, and it's my observation. But I'm sure those from the political party that he markets the lot, they might want to go and check when did he join them and when did he become a member for him to be that active.
So there are interactions between you and him after the 3rd of January leading up to the 6th of July?
We've been talking together up until the press briefing happened. We've been talking. We stopped communicating after the press briefing.
Well, did he say anything further about the letter? Did he say anything further about any of the 3 aspects in the letter, especially the disestablishment? I think that's the word that was used, the disestablishment of the PTKT. Did he say anything about it?
Honorable Chair members, there's been a lot of engagement between me and him in between. There would be conferences, summits, there and there, meetings, BOC. So we come across. There will be a gatherings, the minister is there, he comes with, he's part of the staff, so we talk. That's why you'll see later when I talk about on my statement about the Mr. Mkhwanazi that phoned me in October last year. I phoned Gabinde to ask Gabinde, so he told me about who Mkhwanazi was. I didn't know Mkhwanazi, it's him that told me about Mkhwanazi. So there's been a lot of conversation between me and him. And the last, I think, heart-to-heart talk we had with him, we had at Beachwood Hotel in Johannesburg, and he accompanied me into the car. When they were, I think the tensions were growing already in terms of after this letter, as the team was trying to figure out and the team working out in what they were picking up. And I had an engagement with him there when he said, hey, I don't know anything about what's happening. And I said to him, boss, truth always comes out. So whatever that is happening right now, it's going to come out. So you better be on the right side of the law. I hope you're not going to get caught on the wrong side. That was my conversation with him in Beachwood Hotel. So that was a heart-to-heart talk. Other than that, we'll just meet and greet, hey, how's it? We just talk on the tree and we end there.
And you mentioned that did he appear to know Mkhwanazi well?
No. At that time when I phoned him about a person who had contacted me as Bran Mkhwanazi, he's the one who told me that, no, he's a person who's very close to the minister. But he said he's not working for the department. He's not employed in the ministry, but he's close to the minister.
So he's the person who told you that Mkhwanazi is very close. Is that,
that was his word. But that's why I even asked him to give me the Mkhwanazi's number, and he sent me the Mkhwanazi's number to confirm that it's the same person you're talking about.
And is that also, although we were still going to come to it, is that also
Senior Counsel? Yeah, closer.
Oh, am I? Sorry, Honourable Chair. Sorry, members. Is that also why you alleged on the 5th of March, when there was an appearance before it was online, the appearance before the Police Committee of Parliament of Mr. Cameron, when you alleged that Mkhwanazi was an associate of the minister?
Yeah, that's correct. I was quoting on what I learned from Mr. Gabinde.
So you got that from Gabinde?
That's correct.
Did you have any engagement with the minister after the 2nd of January? Did you contact him? Did you phone him? Did you write to him? Did you go to his office to ask him to explain why he issued this directive?
My main concern, Honourable Chair members, the engagement I would be having with the minister was always work-related, in meetings and so forth, but not specific about the letter. I tried with Gabinde to meet with the minister who can talk about the letter, and it did not happen. I tried with the National Commissioner to ask him to secure with the meeting with the minister so we can talk about the letter, and it didn't happen. Until I had to ask the Honourable Member, Mr. Cameron, to invite me to come to this committee, portfolio committee, so that we can be able to address some of these issues that I'm seeing happening. And yes, we arrived and we spoke about it, but the minister just put a cold shoulder on it. He didn't take it serious. He simply says, no, well, the person that Mkhwanazi is talking about, I don't know the person. So it just ended like that. So those are my efforts. I had actually, even before coming to the portfolio committee from the minister, after, I sent the minister WhatsApp directly, where then I was pleading with him that, minister, can we meet? And it was, I must say, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, the WhatsApp, I think I will have shared it in my statement.
Yeah, the WhatsApp, General, is NSM6, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, NSM6 at pages 80 and 81 of the annexures bundle.
That's correct. Honorable Chair, honorable members, this was my effort to try and reach out to the minister as I was observing what was happening up until April. Then I realized that it looks like everyone is failing to secure a meeting with the minister. Let me try on my own.
Can I please? I think this is important. This is a WhatsApp sent to the minister on the 5th of April. Can you have you got it there, General?
Yes, I mean.
Can you read it into the record?
Sabona Minister, that's a Zulu greeting. Please forgive. My bad writing there. Please forgive for writing this message directly, but I feel that I must respectfully request a meeting in order to deal with internal issues within our organization which affects me and my family and has a potential of destabilizing our crime-fighting efforts. I tried to reach out through Ngabinde in his private capacity early in January this year. And late, I spoke to him in his capacity as Chief of Staff. And again, I had a special request to the National Commissioner to try and secure the meeting before appearance before the Portfolio Committee on Police. This situation is escalating and it has a potential of demoralizing our hard-working members. And there are even politicians that are using these social media posts to sow divisions within the SAPS. I do not like what's happening. Hence, I feel that the minister must call us into a meeting so that we can iron out everything that is dominating the media space. I do not like what's happening. Hence, I feel that the minister must call us into a meeting so that we can iron out, I think that's a repeat of the previous page, iron out what is dominating, everything that is dominating the media space. It is my plea that the minister calls the National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Sbiya, Lieutenant General Kumalo, myself, Major General Khan, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, in order to get to the bottom of the problem. It is the prerogative of the minister to invite the executive director of IPIT if he feels it's necessary. I have requested to take a vacation leave tomorrow and Friday, but I can make time if the minister decides to meet this week. I hope my request will be favorable. And the response from the minister reads, your WhatsApp message was received, will revert at some point.
Did he ever revert at any point?
Not at all. To date, I'm still waiting for the minister to revert to me. In actual fact, honorable chair members, there was a meeting that the minister had called between myself and General Sbiya in his residence in Pretoria. And in that meeting, he acknowledged that he owes me for this meeting. He said, I know that I'm supposed to meet with you as per your request, but today I did not invite you for that. I invited you for another meeting. So that was the closest ever he addressed this.
And what was the date of that meeting?
Honorable Chair, I cannot remember exactly the date of the meeting. I don't know if I have it on my statement, but it's a meeting that we held in Pretoria. I cannot remember the date. I'll be lying. Should be in May somewhere about, if I'm not mistaken.
So in relation to the disestablishment of the PKTT, your evidence is that the minister never consulted with you, let alone contacted you or Lieutenant General Kumalo before his decision to disestablish the PKTT on 31 December 2024. And neither did he meet with you, discuss with you, let alone consult you on his decision even after the 31st of December 2020. Does that summarize your evidence?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Honorable Chair members, that in as far as I am concerned, the minister never engaged me. But I've learned later, at the beginning of this year, that there were engagements that the minister had with both the National Commissioner and General Kumalo. But I was not invited into those meetings. The last one being the 6th of March, immediately a day after the appearance at the Portfolio Committee. They had a meeting which I was not invited. And I think there was subsequent a meeting after that, which was the last meeting I'm told that they had.
Yeah, there was a meeting on the 5th of March, the 6th of March, 27th of March. You were not invited to any of those meetings.
On the 5th of March was a Portfolio Committee.
You were here.
Yep.
Well, it was an online meeting, but you were in that meeting.
That's correct.
But we can go to the transcript of that meeting, but I stand corrected. But in that meeting, when Lieutenant General Kumalo makes a presentation to the Police Committee, he talks there about the PKTT being sort of phased out and being in a state of transition. In his presentation, there's no objection to the minister's directive of the 31st. He reports to the committee on the state of the PKTT, that it was still in operation, but it was now being, I think the words he may have used was now being phased out. Do you recall that? You were online in the meeting.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. I was part of the meeting, and the meeting was a visual meeting, and I do remember that presentation. Well, it was a shock to me, but I couldn't challenge it because I believe that the National Commission authorized the presentation to be made, which means that was an approach the National Commission wanted to take. Being an accountable person in terms of policing, I couldn't question him if that's what he really wanted to do.
And there was also then the meeting on the very next day, on the 6th of March. There's a presentation that's made on the PKTT again by Lieutenant General Kumalo, the minister, and I think the senior management were in that meeting. To the same effect, a bit more detail is given, but to the same effect, the PKTT is being phased out. Now that you were obviously told about this, I'm not sure about the evidence leaders in the commission, but we told you about it. We showed you yeah, I think they did because the presentation is part of the record. Were you surprised to hear that?
Honorable Chair and honorable members, the meeting of the 6th, I was not informed about it. And the subsequent meeting that happened later in March, I was not told about it. The only first time I got to learn about those meetings is upon learning that the case dockets that are in KZN have been moved to Pretoria. Even the movement of those dockets, I was not told until Jara Sentumule was at the head office, phoned me and tell me that she wanted to bring dockets to me. And then I asked, what dockets are you talking about? He said, no, the dockets from the team. I said, but where are they? She said, they're in Pretoria. I said, but how did they get there? Because they're supposed to be in KZN. What are they doing in Pretoria? How did you get them there? So the same way you took them, maybe you must bring them the same way, because I don't know anything about it. But then I called the members from the team to come and brief me about the status of the investigation. That's when officially they confirmed that 121 of those dockets were sent to Pretoria. But when they were taken, I was not told.
Now, you weren't told, but in what capacity did you expect to be told, or even to be asked for your permission to move those dockets from KZN to head office in Pretoria? Is it in your capacity as the Provincial Commissioner of KZN, or is it in your capacity as the person still leading the PKT team in charge of this team?
For two reasons, but the main one is that the dockets belong to KZN. All those case dockets that belong in KZN, they are accounted for in KZN. When we appear before the Portfolio Committee on Police, we have to account about the performance of detectives, we account on every docket that is registered in the province. So for someone to decide to take the dockets and travel over 700 kilometers to Pretoria without telling me was problematic already. And so I needed to be told because of that. I'm the accounting office in the province. You can't remove something out of the province without telling me. That's the first thing. The second part, I'm part of this project. Yes, it's a national project running in KZN, but I'm part of it. So the least I must be engaged as to why there's this decision. The similar engagement that was made with me when there was a request of assigning 10 of the members from this team to go and assist in Gauteng. And the similar engagement to say that some of these members must go and assist in the Eastern Cape. So that engagement was already there. Precedents created. So why now, when the dockets are taken away, that I'm not engaged? And even the meetings that are taking place, I'm not invited to be part of those meetings.
Now, what if General Sabia comes before this committee and says, but he is the Deputy National Commissioner, he is in charge of detectives, and that he was authorized to issue a directive, even an instruction, to the detectives dealing with those 121 cases to bring them to head office in Pretoria?
Honorable Chair and members, there's only one person in charge of the police in South Africa. That's a National Commissioner of Police. He's the most powerful person in the country. And he delegates his responsibility to different levels. There's delegation letter that is signed that says you can do A to Z. So if the National Commissioner have delegated that responsibility to Jarvis Beer, then I will not argue. But the problem that we then going to have is that if the National Commissioner is going to delegate something that is in conflict with the legislation, then there's going to be a problem. So if Beer were to come and argue that the dockets belong to him, or he was told by the National Commissioner to do that, well, that means the National Commissioner must come into this Portfolio Committee and confirm whether did he or did he not. But as far as I'm concerned, we are governed by the legislation, that the members that are before me are responsible for passing. And when they pass this legislation, they expect me and the men in blue to enforce those legislation. So if anyone then violates the legislation, we have to act as directed by these members, that anyone who breaks this law must be punished in this fashion. That's what we do. So if the RSB were to come and argue differently to what the legislation is saying, it would mean he will have been admitting that he's breaking the law. I'll hope that when he comes here and he says that, the members are going to call him into task, because it means as a law enforcer, he does not know the very same law he's supposed to enforce.
We also know that, or let me put it this way, sorry. Is it correct that in or around May 2025, there was an attempt to return the dockets to you, and that you refused? And if that is a correct statement, that you refused, why did you refuse?
Honorable Chair and members, I've said this thing a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to repeat again, and I'm going to use an example. As somebody walks into your house, and it's Mr. Arendse's premises, you pay rents and taxes in that house, you are a boss of that house, and somebody comes to your house and remove an item from your house and travel kilometers away, and later calls you and he says he wants to bring something that you took away from your house. Definitely going to be shocked as to what are you talking about? What did you take and how did you take it? Who authorized you to take it? So, and that's why my response to Jara Sentumule, who's a Divisional Commissioner of Detectives, when she called me saying that there are dockets that are in Pretoria that must come back to KZN, the question I asked, but what are they doing in Pretoria? How did they get there? Because nobody told me that their dockets taken away. So she then withdrew and said, oh, I thought you knew. Now that you don't know, I don't want to get involved myself. And then she pulled back. She never traveled from Pretoria to my office and said, Mkhwanazi, here are the dockets, and I declined to take them. She called me while she was in Pretoria. Well, I assume she was in Pretoria. I don't know where she was. But she called me. She was not in KZN.
Is that Sentumile?
Jara Sentumule, yeah. She will come here and confirm that because she called. But I subsequently, Honorable Chair members, learned that she calls me because her junior members have contacted my members in the province, and they approached them to say, we want to come and give this docket. And my junior officers in the province said, no, we don't want to. And those that are not even part of the PKTT those that are working in the provincial office. They said, what are you talking about? The dockets of the PKTT, we don't want to get involved with that. Talk to the provincial commissioner. We don't know anything about what PKTT does. And those junior members of hers, I think, then they went back to her and said, hey, you better phone Mkhwanazi because we're not going to call him about this thing. That's when she phoned me. So when I responded, the minute I responded, she distanced herself as well. She said, I don't want to get involved myself. I thought you knew. So she pulled back. That's why those dockets remained in Pretoria for the period.
And she told you the dockets were transported to Pretoria?
No, she didn't. We didn't talk about the transportation. She just simply said the dockets are here. When I asked her, how did they get there? She said, but don't you know about the dockets are here? I said, I don't know anything. She said, hey, I don't want to get involved. And she pulled back. So she did not explain how the dockets arrived in Pretoria South. But later, I learned that she was not responsible for moving the dockets. She only went to General Khumalo's office to collect the dockets in Pretoria. It is Khumalo who moved the dockets from Durban to Pretoria. It was by instruction of General Khumalo to move the docket, not General Senzo.
And Khumalo never told you all this?
He never told me. I was furious with him.
I was going to ask you now.
Yeah, I was furious with him. He simply said, there's just too much things happening. And so there was this instruction and he decided to comply with it because I think they were just taking left and right. Remember, he at the time he had, I would say, three things that he was responsible for. One is to try and get rid of these bad members that we have at Crime Intelligence, that they were there in 2011 when he was there. That are still there, that are friends to some of the members that are here, that is trying to clean up. They are fighting, they are countering that on one side. On the other side, he's trying to deal with this organized crime that is identified in Gauteng province, that involves these famous people that we see on TV every day. And it's a serious job that he's busy with. While trying to fix this, he has the political task team also in KZN that he must worry about, because he's still coordinating the work that the team is doing. And the team doesn't end with the politicians' matters. It involves the traditional leadership matters. You have the issues of fortes and the likes. So he's one man who's got too many things on his table.
That's what I asked you earlier. I said,
but I'm not the national commissioner, but he's assigned. He could have said, no, I can't do this, I can't do that. But he was doing all of them, but it was not a problem. So while he's busy with this thing, that this instruction come, that he must take these dockets, and he just complied with that. So that's why when I started investigating, and he's one of the witnesses in my criminal investigation to depose the statement that says he was instructed by so and so to take the docket. So he's part of the criminal investigation that we're busy with. And I do hope that pretty soon we might be in court.
So in which circumstances and when did you tell Khumalo that he was going to be arrested?
I told him a day before. I told him he was here before the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. When I received that information that he's going to be arrested, they're going to arrest him at the airport, and they are going to come with social media. They're going to make it look bad. And what is the arrest all about? He was here when I told him. And the fact that they were going to arrest him at the airport because based on the counterintelligence operation, if I may say to the members, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, Chair, honorable members, how much of that information that General Khumalo can talk about in public, because it's quite a sensitive investigation. I can safely tell you, it's not crime intelligence operation alone. It's entire intelligence of the country that are part of the operation. In such a manner that the National Defence Force is part of the security of Khumalo. That's how level is that operation. So the IDEC members knew that Khumalo is that protected. There's military people that are moving around him. They can't just grab him anyway. The only place he's going to be vulnerable is when he gets out of the airplane. So that's why they're going to wait for him there. So I told him, and that's exactly what they did. So when he boarded the flight here, he knew exactly they're going to pick him up at the airport, and that's what they did.
Well, in my consultation with Advocate Johnson, the head of IDEC, she told me that the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo...
Can you please get...
Sorry. She told me that the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo had nothing to do with the political killings task team, and everything to do with an allegation of some irregular appointment in his office or something to that effect. And that his arrest, when he was stepped off the plane, everything was arranged with him. It was done, I don't know if you call an arrest a collegial event where at least they don't pull you and drag you, but they're just waiting for you and they're escorting you, and that apparently Lieutenant General Khumalo thanked him for the way in which he was treated, the way he was handled.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, I've said a lot when I appeared before Nhlanhla Commission. I've said a lot when I appeared before South Africans on the 6th of July, 2025. I'm here today at this hour talking about the same thing. And I'm going to confirm again to the honorable members that IDEC is divided into two. The very same institution that these members established in this house is divided into two. The section that I will refer to as a rogue section of IDEC is the one that effected an arrest on Khumalo. IDEC has got good men and women that are working there, under the very same leader, Advocate Johnson, who are responsible for cases that are serious, that emanate from the state capture, amongst others. If IDEC is honest, if Advocate Johnson is honest, he's going to come here before this committee and take an oath and confirm what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is not a lie. I'll prove it. I want to invite these members to get a profile of the arresting officer of General Khumalo and the team, Mr. Padayache. Get his profile. You're going to know that Padayache is an ex-crime intelligence member who has never touched a case docket in his life. But IDEC employed him as the senior investigator responsible for the arrest of Khumalo. He's the one who's a boss in that case. This is a person who's now employed to work in an entity of government that is charged with the responsibility in terms of the Amendment Act of the NPA, that they must deal with serious and complex cases. Well, I don't know whether it's a serious and complex case to arrest people for having sat in a panel like you are sitting here, and you make recommendations to the higher structure that is going to appoint. You facilitate this process at the committee, you are taking it to Parliament. The Parliament will take it further. In the police, a committee that is arrested, it's a committee that Khumalo is part of. One of the charges is that Khumalo manipulated by forming the committee himself. It is before the court, honorable chair members, that Khumalo did not even recommend that panel. It is Gerald Madondo who signed a letter to the National Commissioner to recommend a panel where Khumalo was included as a member of the panel.
So General Mkhwanazi, you are aware, because I put it to you, but you're clearly now aware that is at least the reason given why he was arrested. It's this whole appointment.
That's exactly
process. No, that's the reason that they give. Because I put it to you that Advocate Johnson had told me it had nothing to do with the political killing stars team.
If I were to have an opportunity to sit where you are sitting, SC, and Advocate Johnson is sitting here, I'm given an opportunity to cross-question her. I'll prove it to this house that what she told you, if she did say that, is a lie. The Khumalo's arrest is a project. It's a project to counter the criminal investigation in Gauteng. This letter of the minutes at the close of the task team, it's a project that is aimed at stopping the criminal investigation in Gauteng. So why I'm demonstrating this to you is that here's a group of members from crime intelligence that are arrested for having sat in the panel. The portfolio committee chair and the members in the portfolio committee will tell you what is the process in the SAPS in terms of filling of vacancies. So you ask yourself whether did these ones do something different to the process. The process, if I were to tell the members that the head of HR in the police, on behalf of the National Commissioner, they will send you a letter. They will say, this post has been advertised. Make recommendation of the panel members that must be in the panel. You submit as an accounting officer the recommendations to the head office HR. Head office HR decide whether your submission and your recommendation they're in agreement with or not. It is that office that approves the panel, not the line function manager. I'm a provincial commissioner, KwaZulu-Natal. I don't approve a single panel of such levels of brigadiers. I deal with the ones junior. But allow me to explain, SC and other members, that the process is established in organization. So Khumalo and the team, it's a panel that is appointed by the National Commission of the Police. If Khumalo did wrong and the team did wrong in the panel, their recommendations goes to another moderating committee at the National Office, at the National Commission's office. They are lieutenant generals that sits there, including head of legal service. They moderate the work that the junior committee will have done, and they agree with it. So if they agree with it, then they give it to the National Commissioner, he appoints. So if IDEC arrests, they're supposed to have arrested all this chain. But because they're not interested with the others, they're interested with these ones. It was a quick win to get to them. IDEC, honorable chair members, arrested the members of crime intelligence literally in the same month. I don't know how many weeks apart. The very same IDEC had a case of over 90 million rand of ESCOM, if I'm not mistaken. One of the members that are charged is a member of parliament in that case, Mr. Mlefi. IDEC summoned the people that they wanted to arrest to appear at the police station in the morning. They arrived at the police station in front of cameras wearing suits. They went to the police station. They made them to be charged, gave their fingers. From there, they drove to court. They appeared before the magistrate. The court granted them bail. They paid their bail. The same evening, they were at home with their families for 90 million rand. The same institution IDEC. How is it possible that they are going to wait for Khumalo at the airport for having been part of the panel to appoint someone who's going to earn a salary of R1 million per year? But they wait for that person at the airport and arrest that person. So what Advocate Johnson will come and explain, justify the two that happened under her watch. I will argue that the ones that were charging Brian Leaf and them, honorable members there, they were respecting them, despite the seriousness of the charge of 90 million rand. But the one of Khumalo, they were not respecting them because the project was not this promotion of this girl. The project is stopping that operation in Gauteng. So in twofold, Chair, stopping the operation in Gauteng and disrupting the reforms that have been introduced at crime intelligence.
So your evidence is, or you allege, that the arrest of Khumalo was to stop the operation in Gauteng. It wasn't designed.
And the reforms that crime intelligence.
The reforms.
Yes.
So you don't have a problem with
it's coincidental, Chair, I'm sorry, members, that the very same husband of the very same head of IDEC works in the same crime intelligence. But you can continue.
So I don't hear you saying that the arrest of Khumalo had anything to do with the political killing stars team.
Honorable Chair, I've said it before and I'm saying it again. The minister signs this letter on a short notice like this, and there's these discussions that are happening, and then realize, as we're putting these dots together, that the political killing task team was a missed target. They were under impression that it is the political task team that is investigating these cases in Pretoria, in Gauteng, but they were wrong. So they hit the wrong target.
Well, because the political task team, as we know, and you can confirm it, is still in existence and has been budgeted for until, I think, next year, May, March 2026.
That's correct.
So certainly the minister or Minister Mchunu has not succeeded in stopping his work.
Honorable Chair and members, I said earlier, Minister Mchunu, the one that I met when I was with Mr. Nkabinde in his own house, is not the one that drafted this letter. I can bet my man on it. They made him sign something that he didn't know. Unfortunately, he never afforded me an opportunity to warn him about it. Had he done that, he would have realized what he's getting himself into.
Well, we also know, and of course, the National Commissioner will come here and also testify, and has testified in another forum. But we also know that there clearly was no objection to the directive given on the 31st of December. In fact, there appears to have been some acquiescence at the very least, because the directive was given, and on the 5th of March, here in Parliament, the project leader of that team makes a presentation and talks about a winding down or winding up if you call it, of this team. It's repeated in a presentation the next day in front of the minister on the 6th of March. And then again on the 27th, we know from General Masimola, and I can tell you this because that's what he said under oath, there were some disagreements with the minister. But it certainly didn't, because the minister appeared still to insist that it must be immediate. But nevertheless, the plan was a phasing out of this team. So from what we gather, the minister he certainly never got his way about what this letter said, the immediate disestablishment of the PT, despite Khumalo's arrest.
Yeah, no, that's correct, Honourable Chair. The minister obviously did not get his way around this, but I must indicate that what you're saying is correct. From what I heard when the National Commission appeared before the Nhlanhla Commission, that and actually before that, I got to hear that there were meetings that had taken place on the 6th of March, and subsequent to that, another meeting later, where they were making these proposals, which I had seen when they were presenting. I was upset, I must say that. Although I could not challenge it, because if it's a National Commission takes a decision, let us agree with this. Who am I? I account to the National Commission. The National Commission is a trained police office. So if it breaks the law, knowing it's breaking the law, it means you have to account for it on his own, at his own platform. But in this case, I was making noise because, for me, there was a directive to shut down the unit working in my province, and nobody talked to me about it. So I kept on asking the National Commission, did you authorize this thing? And he said, no, he never did. But as a policeman, I couldn't take his words. I wanted an oath on paper and black and white to say that. He gave that to me, I think on the 4th, if I'm not mistaken, Honourable Chair, members, a statement, an oath, where he said he never authorized Jarosbia to take these dockets to Pretoria. He never authorized this and that and that and that. From there, then I knew that I've got a criminal case going.
That was on the 4th of July?
That was before my press briefing.
Sorry, General?
It was before my press briefing. I already had the National Commissioner's
on the 4th of July.
affidavit under oath that says he did not authorize this thing.
And we have that affidavit?
So that is in a criminal case docket that you're talking about today. Because then all these people that played a role in shutting down my investigation, that which I warned about on the 2nd of July, is been investigated now. So I do hope that pretty soon we're going to effect arrest and we're going to be in court.
And what is the charge there? Defeating the ends of justice?
That's the main one. There's a collusion to defeat the end of justice from the evidence that has been uncovered.
And that's based on an affidavit that's in the docket?
Yeah, because I needed to have a point of departure. National Commissioner tell me, did you authorize this, yes or no? He says, I didn't. Just said, write it down. There was a delay in him giving that. A delay. Eventually, he said to me, okay, here's it. So when he did that, then I knew that, okay, someone will have to then go to court and explain why this. So we started there with investigation. Statements of Khumalo, statement of Sentumule, all the people that played the part, except CB and them. We did not take statement from them. The team is investigating further. The investigation is ongoing as we speak. I can't talk in details on it.
So who's conducting the investigation? Crime intelligence or?
No, it's the detectives in KZN.
The detectives?
There's a KZN. Okay, so I'm not part of it. I'm a complainant. I gave my statement and I complained, and they started collecting all these things and putting these pieces together. As a complainant, obviously they update me. The DPP gave me an update about 2 weeks ago about the status of the investigation, and I'm quite pleased with how they are moving with the investigation. I guess it's going to be a landmark case that we're going to have in court.
Sounds like it.
It will be.
You were the complainant?
I'm a complainant.
And you got the National Commissioner to depose to an affidavit?
He's my witness.
Your star witness?
Yeah.
I think a bit late. That's why we're just trying to some levity. Sorry, Honourable Chair and Honourable Minister. So just to rewind to early January, your erstwhile friend, Gabinde, tells you these things, but he's no longer your friend. On the 3rd, he even records your conversation with him. He places things on social media that gets you into trouble. When did you phone the National Commissioner about this directive, or did he phone you?
I did call him immediately after learning of this letter. I called him, he was on leave, and I asked him, I beg your pardon?
On the 2nd of January.
I can't remember exactly the date when I called him, but almost immediately after learning of the letter, I contacted him to ask him about this thing. He was surprised as well.
Apart from being surprised, did he say he's not going to do anything about it, or what did he say about it?
Yeah, well, he was going to attend to it when he's back from leave, because he was still on leave, so he didn't want to engage on this much.
No, he went on leave. The National Commissioner went on leave on the 30th of December 2024, and he returned to office, I think, on the 14th of January 2025. So in that period, there would have been an acting National Commissioner.
That is correct.
Who was that person?
Lieutenant General Musikidi. Lieutenant General Musikidi.
And I take it this is how these things work, that when you're acting in a position, you assume the same authority and powers of the person who's appointed in that position.
Yes. The National Commissioner will appoint a person, and that means he's delegated the responsibility of being a National Commissioner at the time.
Now, Lieutenant General Sabia will say that, and I think it's common cause that there was an email from the Office of the National Commissioner. There was an email which he says directed or instructed him to give effect to the Minister's directive. Were you aware of that? Do you know about that?
Honourable Chair, honourable members, on the 6th of July, I addressed the nation about what was happening. Charles Bia was enjoying the holiday at July in Devon. And on the same day, he was on television where he made a lot of remarks. which I appreciated because he spoke without thinking. So I hope those what he had said today are going to be interrogated when he appears here, because he started making allegations. That couple of weeks later, the National Commissioner was also on television where he denied that which RSB had said. So it's between them. They shouldn't have closed down the PKTT. I was not going to be bothered, but I was minding my business in KZN and they closed the unit in the province. So that made me to start asking questions until I ended up knowing what's happening in Gauteng. If they didn't close the unit, I was not going to know what's happening in Gauteng. But thanks that they brought it to my attention.
Because you were told, you weren't aware of it at the time, because you were told, and you now know. Sabia writes letters to the heads of various sections. On the 17th of January, he writes another letter on the 4th of February, instructing the two divisions, I think, and Kumalo. I think that is where he instructs Kumalo about those dockets. You weren't aware of those letters?
No, I was not aware initially, but through the investigation, the criminal investigation, and I became aware because they had to produce those. Kumalo had to produce a justification why he decided to take the dockets away from KZN.
Now, we know from the minister's letter that it's on page 79 of NSM 5, the minister says to the National Commissioner, I therefore direct, this is in the last paragraph, I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. Further, a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the Minister by the 20th of January 2025. The final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. Now, you also know by now that the National Commissioner submitted a report, I think it was on the 22nd of January 2025. You now aware of that?
Yeah, well, I became aware as the investigation was unfolding and some of these things became a public knowledge, yes.
Yeah, and I speak under correction, but that report doesn't also take exception or make objection to the minister's directive to say, no, hold it. Can you tell me why I must abide or comply with this instruction? You're not authorized to issue such an instruction. This is an operational matter that falls within my domain. You're now crossing the line.
Yeah, well, Mkhwanazi is not the same as Massimo. So clearly, how I respond to things, Massimo might not be the same. So I guess maybe it would be an opportunity for the Ad Hoc Committee to invite him to come and sit here and explain why he did what he did. But I cannot talk on those correspondences.
An interesting question, I must say, because I only thought of it now. Did General Masemola consult you or confer with you or Lieutenant General Kumalo before he submitted his report to the minister on the 22nd of January?
The only first time I got to learn that from the date of this letter, 31st of when on the 2nd, when I became aware, 2nd of January 2025, when I spoke to the National Commission asking him about this, and he was still on leave, up until we appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March, I did not know that there were meetings in between the period, the 2nd of January and 31st and the 5th of March. I'm not aware. Nobody told me there were meetings there. And nobody told me that there were meetings subsequent to that, the 6th of March and other meetings that took place. Nobody told me. I only became aware about these meetings after getting a sworn statement from the National Commission that is not part of the spending of the trustee. So when I got that and then went back into the PKTT and say, I need statements on who told you to take the dockets away. So that value chain that started producing these things, that's when I became aware that there were even meetings that had met to propose this establishment in this fashion. So I was not part of it. So I never knew about it until such time that the investigations were starting.
So it sounds to me like before the 31st of December and the minister issues his directive that the team must be disestablished. And after the 31st of December 2024, going into 25, you were also not engaged by the National Commissioner.
That is correct. The likelihood is that if the 6th of March reached an agreement and there was no follow-up meeting, that implementation plan was going to be signed off, sealed, and implemented. We wouldn't be here today. But there was a disagreement on the follow-up meeting from what I gathered, which led into that proposal be thrown out, which then I think subsequent to then, maybe the National Commission felt that it's important and to give me a statement. And then I started doing what I did. But prior to that, had the 6th of March meeting agreed and there was no follow-up meeting, perhaps we wouldn't be here today.
Sorry, General. So when you ask General Masemola for an affidavit and he gives it to you on the 4th, is he aware that you are going to hold your media briefing on the 6th?
I told him after that I'm going to have a press briefing on the 6th, over the weekend. I didn't say it. I didn't give him the date. I said I'm going to have a press briefing over the weekend to talk about the work of the political killings task team. Honorable Chair members, maybe let me add, and I said earlier, well, although we are talking about some of the things that might not be in the statement, but you were, as SC, is asking me questions about the meetings that were taking place in my absentia and the posture maybe the National Commission had in handling the minister's directive. I was upset in January about the posture of the National Commission on this minister's directive. What makes me unhappy is because as a leader of the police, when you're a leader, you're a commander, It's your job to look after your members, their well-being. You provide them resources, you give them support on anything else so that they can go out there and face the bullet and be able to fight and defend and make you look good as a commander. So, but when it's time for them to be rewarded, as a good commander, you must reward them. If you promise to reward them, reward them. But if you promise to reward them and you turn around and you don't reward them, you lose respect from those members, you demoralize them. What had transpired last year was that when this team had briefed the president of the country at the protocol lounge in Durban at the airport, updating the president even about the work that they're doing in Eastern Cape, the president was complimentary of the members that they are doing a very good job. Subsequent to that, the National Commission had made some commitment that these members are going to be rewarded during the Excellence Awards that we're going to see on the 26th of January, 2025 at the ICC in Durban. And the members went out to go and buy themselves nice clothes to look good so they can stand in front of their fellow colleagues to be rewarded, given good certificates for good performance and so forth. But on almost the eve of that Excellence Awards, because of this letter, then the minister did not want, I believe, the National Commission did not want to upset the minister, because the minister was going to be the functionary on Excellence Awards.
The minister was there and the National Commission was there.
On the Excellence Awards.
That's at the awards day, is it 22nd or 28th of January?
The 26th of January.
26th.
So then suddenly, the members' nomination was withdrawn. The certification of these members was cancelled on the eve of the event. They were told, you're not going to be rewarded anything. Honorable Chair members, you see the performance of this team. It is, I think it's annexed here on my document about the work they've done. I've presented it on my statement right at the beginning, starting from NSM 1, and I think it runs all the way up until page 77 on this annex. The work of this team, but they got this reward from the South African Police Service.
You're showing
that's zero.
Zero.
They were not recognized, as if they did nothing. But the members that were led by Jaros Biya that went to investigate the massacre of Lusikisi, which happened last year, those members were rewarded, including SBM himself. One case. These members who did all this, they didn't get a single cent. Not a certificate, a mere paper that is signed by the National Commission was withdrawn, cancelled. So when you see me appear before the media on the 27th and express what I was expressing on the 27th of January, it is because some of the things that had happened in the organization, we demoralized these members. These members have been asking themselves questions ever since, that what did we do wrong? Whose toll did we step on that made the management to look at us like this? So these are a group of members that you're talking about, Honorable Chair members, that we needed to protect. So I've been fighting this thing on behalf of these members to try and ask questions. What is it that these members have done wrong? Because they're doing a good job in KZN. What is it that they did wrong? So it is that questioning of things that led me into uncovering other things. And I must say, as we are sitting here, Chair, and I've said it before and I'm repeating again, the rank levels in the police that are seen that I speak about are generals. We have brigadiers in the police. But the ones that are actually doing the job are constable and sergeants. 2 sergeants have shaken this country. In Gauteng, 2 sergeants that are working in the Gauteng province have shaken this country. If it was not for their guts to go deeper into the criminality of the syndicate in Gauteng, we wouldn't be here today. The resilience of those 2 juniors that brought us here. They are the ones that caused Khumalo to be part of it and assist them. That Khumalo caused me from KZN to bring the team to Gauteng to help them. So we are having high-profile cases in court of the Katisos and the Nhlanhlas and the likes. It is because of those 2 junior members that started it. So I want to repeat again. When the junior members are working and you get directives like these that comes from the executive authority, it makes the members to lose faith and lose hope, and that energy of fighting crime is taken away from them. So we have a responsibility as management to protect those juniors. If they put their lives in fire when they're dealing with criminals out there, we must also be willing to do the same as senior officers.
Now, there is a clip, and we can play it if it's requested, of you giving this interview on the awards day to the ENCA.
That's correct.
And in that clip, you express your, would it be fair to say, anger and deep disappointment about what's happening in the police, and of course that these members had not been given the awards which you say was well deserved.
Maybe anger was understatement. I was very unhappy. I'm not going to use the word that otherwise, if we're out of the house, I was going to use.
Yeah.
But I was very disappointed. I must say, very disappointed. That time there was no talks about the arrest of Khumalo and the team at crime intelligence at all. This is in January, and the members are treated like this, and the management is allowing it to happen. And fast forward, come June, there's an arrest. So obviously, in between a lot of things that are happening, we're picking up a lot of information that leads into the arrest. Then we start realizing that which was a problem at the beginning of the year is leading to this and is continuing to something else. So someone had to do something about it, because otherwise, yes, there's some very talkative experts out there who will say the police job is to not do politics. I'm not a politician. I've never signed. I've never joined a member of a political party. It's never been my dream to be a politician. Mine is a police officer. I'm a civil servant, and I'm charged with the responsibility to enforce the law.
Yes, Minister Bheki Cele, he told us he's got a lot of admiration. He's got high admiration for you. He said you're a very good cop.
Yeah, well, it's good because
not a politician.
It's good because then the general will know that if there's a law broken, even if he breaks the law, I'll arrest him as well. That is my job. I don't have a responsibility in terms of. That's why I was surprised when I saw Mr. Nkabingo with t-shirts of political parties, because I don't wear t-shirt of a political parties. I even struggle to wear t-shirt of a soccer club. maybe Bafana will. I'm not that much involved. I know a lot of people within the political space, but it's not my space. And I don't dream of becoming a politician. There was an invitation on some of the members that I should join, but I'll gladly decline because that's not me. I was never like that. I'm just a South African, a civil servant. That's what I'm doing. And I think people sometimes confuse a police officer that might become famous as we do and politician. You don't run a country by enforcing the law only. You run a country by looking at a variety of things, which I'm not an expert on. I know policing, nothing else. I don't write legislation, I enforce it. I might pick up things that are wrong in the legislation, but I don't draft it. The honorable members do that. So honorable chair members, what I was trying to indicate is that in January, the letter is written by the minister. In January, the members are deprived of an opportunity to be given an award. Fast forward, in June, we have members arrested. And when you realize that you are trying everything to mitigate all what is happening, you're not winning. It becomes worse when the Gauteng team tells you, we have taken this case to court, to a prosecutor, to request a warrant of arrest against a famous criminal, and the warrant of arrest is signed by the prosecutor, and they go to a magistrate to go and sign off the warrant of arrest. Then, while the magistrate is about to sign, a call comes in from the prosecutor that says, bring back that file. I missed something there. The members go back to the prosecutor. The prosecutor takes this file. He says, no, you know what? I don't want to lose my job. I'm not signing this warrant of arrest anymore. Go to my boss and get it warrant signed. When you start hearing that coming from the members are sitting and they're wondering, okay, what do we do now? And they go to the high office of the prosecution, they're going to complain about it. And next thing, they get paraded as criminals. They get frustrated. Then you realize no matter how much you can investigate, you can't place it in court because the people that are supposed to help you to place it in court, they don't want to be part of it because they're afraid.
So that's your evidence on interference in the criminal prosecution.
Honorable chair members, there are a lot of things that are there. Records, voice recording, that cannot be made published because it's going to compromise seriously the state. You will have heard at the Nhlanhla Commission that things are going to be held in camera. I don't know if these things are going to be held in camera here because they are records.
But are these
there are records where people are talking, how they're controlling the system. This one is controlling that one, and that one is controlling this one. This one is going to handle this thing in this fashion, done by the senior people within the security cluster. So once you hear that and you realize you are fighting a losing battle, what else do you do next? Arrest, yes. But
these recordings, are they authorized?
They are authorized. Let me maybe clarify because there's this. Mkhwanazi says they should have brought a 205. That's an expert in policing that was denied by a political party to be a member recently. But he claims to be a member in policing, that he knows that for you to get this, you must have this. The act which these members have passed says, when you take Mkhwanazi's phone, you cannot download it without his authority. Ask him that, I have your phone, please open it, I want to see what is inside. I must grant you permission to do it. If I don't grant you permission, you can't download it. There's no 205 there. So if you grant me permission, then I download. So once I download, then I hear things. That is on one side. On the other side is intelligence. So intelligence, if they believe that they suspect the SCRNC is involved with this criminal activity, they apply to the judge to listen to your lines. And the judge grants them that. They're not going to come and tell you, now we're listening to your lines. We're now monitoring your movement. They're going to collect information. Unfortunately, that intelligence structure are not going to come to court and say, this is how we extracted the information. They're going to infiltrate and discover and give it to the investigation team. The investigation team will deal with it going forward so that it can be admissible in court. So you're going to find some of the information that perhaps might be admissible in court. Some of the things might not be admissible in court. So if you are with me and I record you that you are planning to kill someone without telling you, and that recording might not be admissible in court, but it doesn't take away the fact that you said it, you're going to kill us. So I can go and give it to the investigation team and say, you have said it your own words. The team must then find a way of establishing whether did you really kill him, as you said, without using you saying it in court, but use your effort to get the person killed.
But so you get a warrant or you get authority from a magistrate or a judge.
The one who's afraid to sign because he's afraid of the criminal.
The investigating officer goes on affidavit and you submit the affidavit to the judge or to the magistrate. It's called an ex parte application because the other party, for obvious reasons, is not invited or heard because you suspect that the person is involved in criminal activity. And then the magistrate or the judge, based on what you say on affidavit, they then authorize you to do that. So that's one way of downloading stuff from someone's self. And the other way that you mentioned, of course, if you come to me and you accuse me of something, you say, I heard someone said something about you, can I look at your phone? And I say, yes, of course you can look at my phone. Then that's consent, that's different. So it's two ways on which you can get that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we have both ways then that we have done it.
With Mkhwanazi, you got both ways?
With all the syndicates that are part of this.
All right.
Yes, including Mkhwanazi.
So just to come back to just getting back to the 6th, did General Masemola know when he gave you this affidavit that you asked for on the 4th of July, or he gave it to you on the 4th of July? Did he know that that was for the purposes of your media event on the 6th of July?
No, I didn't know.
Did you ask him for permission to have the media event on the 6th of July?
I did not ask for permission. I informed him. I always do media briefing. I don't seek permission. Just inform. We notify.
Was that the first time that you had a press briefing?
No, it was not.
What are the other occasions when you had a press briefing involving SAPS?
Oh, there are many press briefings. I cannot recall, but there's a lot of them that I've had. I've been in the province for almost 5 years now, so I've had many press briefings in the past.
But that would have been different. That is when you normally, maybe there's a big breakthrough or a big investigation or something important to tell the public and the media.
There are many things. There will be disasters, there will be police operations, and there will be events coming, sporting, political events, or whatever major events coming. There are many press briefings we're having over time. I've had many in the province.
Now, in relation to the political killings task team, we know that the only people who had given press briefings or media briefings would have been the Minister of Police on behalf of the interministerial committee. Isn't that the case?
That's what used to be. Yes.
That used to be the case. So this was an extraordinary event.
Yeah, well, it was extraordinary because even that other one was not a written rule, but it was a practice which was acceptable. So what I did was not breaking any law nor any police in the organization. Extraordinary because of the extent of the risk that we're facing.
So why would you not have informed the National Commissioner what you intended to do, what you intended to say on the 6th of July?
As I said, sir, in my period as a provincial commissioner in KZN for so many years, I've never had to tell the National Commissioner I'm going to have a press briefing to tell South Africans about the festive season operation launch. I never had any National Commissioner in permission to tell me that I should have a press briefing about talking to South Africans about a murder that had happened, multiple murder that had happened in the area and what the police are doing about it. I never had to had any press briefing about those things. So we'll conduct press briefing as and when we see the need to inform the citizens.
But given what you agree was an extraordinary event that not even the National Commissioner was aware of what was going to happen at that event, and an event which I think arguably implicates him in the sense that he is the head of this organization that you say is being infiltrated, that is corrupt, and that is involved in organized crime.
Do you think if I gave him, I'm sorry to ask a question, but if I assume, had I given the details of what I was going to say and it's going to implicate him, the likelihood is that...
That's a rhetorical question.
The likelihood...
Yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying. If I had told him the details perhaps of what I was going to say, being the head of the organization, the likelihood is that he was going to stop me from having the press briefing.
He may have, because you said earlier in your evidence quite rightly that you take instructions from the National Commissioner. Would it have been an unlawful instruction to tell you, sorry, General Mkhwanazi, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's appropriate for you to have such a press briefing. In fact, I'm quite happy to have a meeting with you right now, given how angry you feel about these matters.
Honorable Chair and members, had I told the National Commissioner of the details of what I was going to give a presentation on, I do not know what was going to be the response. I assume that had he responded by saying that I should not have a press briefing, I was not going to go ahead. Of course, I was not going to have that press briefing because it's my commander who would have given me instruction. So, but I didn't tell him. I didn't give him the details of what I'm going to be presenting to the public. I just told him that I'm going to give a presentation about the political testing.
And the presentation, I suppose to put it mildly, caused some consternation because amongst members of the public, because you were also wearing camouflage. You weren't wearing your normal ordinary police uniform that you would wear as the provincial commissioner. Some of your colleagues, other officers, were also in camouflage and seemed to be sort of wearing a mask to disguise their faces. And one saw, I know nothing about guns, but it looks like something really heavy, a gun. What was the reason for that? Or was that also nothing unusual?
Well, I felt that I was going to take this posture because of the matter I was addressing and the people that are implicated into what I wanted to address. And I've said it before the commission that sometimes we don't necessarily divulge more on what we are doing as a strategy, but we felt that this is the right thing to do at the time, and it's directed specifically to those that are standing in the way of us enforcing the law, which unfortunately they are in a position of authority to stop us. So it was that better mode that we wanted to display on the day. And I did tell the National Commissioner I'm going to work on my flash on the day and he authorized me to do that.
Did you contact the National Commissioner either on the 6th afterwards or after the 6th? Or did he contact you at all?
When you say contact in relation to what, sir?
Well, in relation to what happened on the 6th, because he wasn't aware that this was going to take place.
Yeah, well, we've been having a lot of discussions after that. I think at one stage I was called to Pretoria. I cannot remember the exact dates when I was sanctioned to come to Pretoria. So shortly after that briefing.
What was his reaction or response?
Well, he was shocked, surprised of the content of what I was going to present. But he was well aware of some of the challenges that you're experiencing. So it was not a shock to him to know the extent of the problem. And the mere fact that he had me in the past talking about these things. 6 months is a long time. I started talking about this thing in January this year. When I went to the public, it was in July. So it was a long time since I've been making noise to him about this problem. And everything we are trying fails. And we then had to tell South Africans that perhaps they must know that there is this challenge. And if we cannot overcome this challenge, they're on their own.
So could this have been a reason or the explanation why when in July, I think it was on the 12th of July, Sabia is asking for some more money, some resources for the further work, what used to be done by the PKTT and now is going to be conducted by murder and robbery. So he makes a motivation. And this is now on the basis that PKTT is disbanded or disestablished. And we know now that the National Commissioner turns down that request. Were you aware of that?
The National Commission brought it to my attention because I was not informed about that. I must say, I think it was on the 8th of July, just after my press briefing. It was a team from Jarasbia's office that made a proposal via his office, to the National Commissioner to give them budget so they can travel from Pretoria and come with these 121 dockers to KZN to investigate them. And the National Commissioner declined that because there was already a political killings task team in KZN. Those dockers should have been kept with the political task team in the first place. So he did not see why were they taken to Pretoria first place, and why then there's a request for an extra budget to send people from Pretoria to KZN to investigate, to arrest someone in KZN to do that.
Were you aware that General Sabia would be suspended, or I think initially there was a stay-at-home order, which was unsuccessfully challenged in the High Court, but subsequently he was suspended by the National Commission?
Well, I only became aware when the National Commissioner came to KZN. I think there was a march in KZN after my press briefing at Hoy Park. That's when he made an announcement of the leave of absence. After that, he came to my office because he had to visit KZN. I asked him about this leave of absence. What's this? So we had a brief discussion because I traveled back with him on the day. I flew back to Pretoria with him on the day. I flew back with him on the same day.
Sabia?
No, the National Commission.
The National Commission, yeah. Sorry. So
subsequent to that, any disciplinary administrative issues I was not part of, and I'm not expected to be part of. Of course, Sabia did not report to me, was not accounting to me. So it's between him and the National Commissioner. I cannot comment on it.
Honourable Chair, can we have a short adjournment? I think I'll be another 45 minutes, an hour, but it would help if I can just literally get my ducks in a row and try and condense that period as far as possible.
Yeah, we are breaking for dinner, and then we're going to come back after an hour. So what it means is that if we break now, we're coming back at 8:30. Yeah. So the request for a break has been granted, honourable members. We're breaking for dinner. We're coming back at 8:30. Thank you.
8:30.
Thank you, Speaker.
Senior counsel, I'm looking for signal. May you please give us a signal that we can resume.
Good evening, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, everyone present. We are ready to resume, Chair. If General Mkhwanazi, you ready?
Yes, I am, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. General, can I just put to you what reasons Minister Mchunu will give when he appears? Of course, don't hold me to it. If he appears, he may add more or take away some that I'm aware of. But these are some of the reasons that I'm aware of. So I just want you to comment, really. As you like to say, I can't read into someone else's head or mind, but I'm just telling you what they were thinking. The one is that he received a number of WhatsApp complaints. Obviously, he was appointed in July 2024. So in the period between then and when he made his decision, he received some WhatsApp complaints. Apparently, these WhatsApps can no longer be retrieved or located because they're on some disappearing mode. I don't know, maybe you know about things like that in intelligence. So that's the one, these complaints. And related to that is a complaint that we have discussed and which we showed you, although you weren't aware of it, is a letter written by Mary Das to the Minister, and subsequently she's also written a complaint to the Portfolio Committee, to Parliament. Sorry. Chair, may I proceed?
Let me check with Honourable Malema if he's settled, so that we... Okay, thank you so much. You can proceed.
Thank you. Maybe let's just not overload you, General. Let's deal. The first one, I suppose, the WhatsApps, you can just shrug your shoulders, and if that's what he received, because I can't show them to you, and neither can he. But let's look at the other one, the DAS letter. I think it's dated 24 October 2024, and a subsequent complaint to Parliament. She makes, if you can recall, just your perusal of the letter. You don't have the letter here. The perusal of the letter, she complains about Kumalo. She complains about the manner and the way the political task team does their work, acting unlawfully, under lawful arrests, detentions. It really does badmouth the political killings task team. Do you want to comment, General Mkhwanazi?
On the letter from...
one of the reasons...
Honourable Chair, honourable members, with respect, I don't know the person called Mary Das. I've never seen her. I've never met her. But for whatever reason, out of over 68 million people in this country, there are only certain individuals that get so much mileage in the public space that whatever they say, the whole country knows about it. And whatever they suggest, majority of the people in the country tend to believe it. I want to challenge and I want to request this Ad Hoc Committee to invite Meridi Haas, not visually. If she's in a wheelchair, we'll bring her here. But she must come here and sit in this chair and repeat that which she wrote. And then allow the honorable members to ask her questions. I did not start at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, but I learned that she's an academician. And I'm disappointed. If I was a student of Meridi Haas, if she was a lecturer, and she would have made me pass a certain qualification, I would begin asking myself whether is that qualification credible? Because you cannot be a researcher and you have someone sending you something and you believe it to be the fact and you go and communicate it out there as a researcher, if that's what she is. That's why I'm saying I don't know her. I'm beginning to question the institution that she works for. If she's indeed, because I heard that she's at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the province I come from, which is a bit disturbing for me. Because, honorable chair members, with respect, I think Meridi Haas is a desktop researcher, if any. That's all she does. I'm not a researcher myself, but I believe I can do better than what she's doing. She, at one stage, she accused Gerald Khumalo to be the one behind the Cindy Somakat was made. Gerald Khumalo is the one that arrested the criminals. He's the one that arrested the mayor, Ndobe, of Mzimkhulu, who later was released by court and he committed suicide. He's the one that arrested the municipal manager. He's the one that arrested the convicted fellow now. He's the one who arrested everyone. But because Meridi Haas is fed by a convicted person, because once you are convicted in crime, whatever you say tends to be questionable because you've already been found guilty by court. So a person who's found guilty by court sends information to Meridi Haas and the honorable member of this parliament, Mr. Adams, and they believe that. It's just disturbing, very much disturbing. So I don't want to debate much what she's saying. I don't want to argue in terms of the letter that she wrote. But if the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, took the decision to write the letter of the 31st of December 2024, disestablishing the political killing task team, being informed by Mr. Meridi Haas complaint, then I'm going to challenge that perhaps the minister, with respect, might need to go and relearn how to manage. Because as a manager, you don't do that. You do not do that. You arrive in an institution, you seek for briefing to be given to you, and you make your calculations about things. You then decide on the way forward. For the minister to come in, the executive of the organization, they are there in his disposal. He doesn't bother engaging them. But he listens to people who are outside the institution to give him WhatsApps that are disappearing. I don't know who told him that the WhatsApp disappearing cannot be retrieved. Maybe we need to help the minister. The WhatsApp are disappearing, they cannot be retrieved. The letters of Meridi Haas and many other people that influenced him and briefed him according to the reference letter that made him to reach a conclusion. You are briefed by anyone else other than the executive of this institution. And then you take a position, you believe this is the right position. So I'll advise the minister to perhaps go and get some training somewhere about management.
General, I just a round off on Meridi Haas. I don't, of course, hold the brief for Meridi Haas, but
Senior Counsel, I see Honorable Sangon is
sorry.
raising a hand.
Thank you, Chair. I'm so sorry to disturb. Can we just be directed to where this letter is in the pack? That was my only intervention. Thank you.
It's not in the bundle. It's not in the bundle thus far, but we can make it available if the honourable members request it. You can send it as early as this evening.
Yeah, you see, when you speak to the general, you say, can you please read it to the record? So